Do you have Chicago Bears QB PTSD? Maybe you had QB PTSD and you're over the QB PTSD. Maybe you just have Chicago Bears PTSD. You somehow think that this team is going to screw this up. We're somehow going to destroy another quarterback. Nothing is right. The sky is always falling. And after starting off 1-2, I get your guys' point. Everyone who feels that way. I myself do not feel that way. So tonight, I have put together a little bit of tape, and I just want to show some plays that would have changed a game. There's only one in each of the last two losses that would have been the extra points to win that game. So we're going to get into that. Our guest tonight is Glynn Morgan from NBC Sports Chicago. We love Glynn. Foster is in the hospital getting his arm looked at because he was stung by a million bees.
Don't ask, guys. Don't ask.
Don't even ask. But, and we will see you on the flip side of this. Carl, let's kick this shit off. What's up, PJ? The sky is falling again, isn't it?
Man, every 3 years or so it falls.
Oh, my goodness. I know we're going to get into it. I'm sure my opinion is probably different than most people's, but I'm hoping that I can put some optimism into your guys' hearts and we can have a good time tonight otherwise. I'm excited to bring in Glynn Morgan. Let's not make him wait any longer back there. Glynn, how you doing tonight, my man?
Hey, I'm managing, man. Everything's everything. How about you guys?
I'm eternally optimistic. So,
well, okay. I want a refund. That's where I'm at. That's all I'm going to say. I want a refund.
I feel like you're gonna try to shoot me out of the sky tonight, but I'm gonna try not to let you.
No, not at all. I've gone through my catharsis over the last couple of days, so I'm in a better space, I suppose. Yeah, you know what? I heard you earlier as you were doing that, and again, really nice intro. I like that. I like this opening better than the previous one. That's nice upgrade there.
Thank you
cool
very
stuff.
much.
But I heard you say about people being a little miffed or down because it's 1-2. Me personally, I really don't care about the record at this point in time because we have a rookie quarterback and it's a new coordinator, and I know there's going to be an adjustment period. Trust me, I'm freaking old enough to have seen this spin on the dial on this one a whole bunch of times. So I get all that, and I think a lot of people probably do. I think where some people really the frustration peaks so quickly, 3 games in, is because it looks so much like what just the last guy went through for 2.5 years. I wouldn't really count Justin's first year so much, although that was a lot of BS too, but especially the last 2 years. And it's like, wait, I thought you learned your lesson. I thought we were past this point. I thought we were in a situation where we, and by we, obviously not myself, but by we, the Bears contingent as a whole, but more importantly, the organization, you realize now you have the number 1 pick overall. You have the quarterback that you want, who you felt was the quarterback. And you, quote unquote, went through your example period, or your mistakes were made on Justin, unfair or fair, however you want to look at it. Whatever you should have learned from the Justin whole situation. And it seems like you're right back where you were before. And it's not so much the wins and the losses, it's the decisions that are being made. It's doing things that don't seem to make sense based on your personnel, not using your personnel wisely. And then it's the frustration of you had an extra preseason game to try and do this. And even throughout those 4 preseason games, you're sparsely playing your first stringers. And it's you don't have to be the Buffalo Bills right now, where it looks like they're really hitting on all cylinders, because that team, those players have been together. Although an offensive coordinator was there from last year, so there's some little carryover. They've lost some talent, but the team is essentially the same, and we can go on down the line with different examples. And then what really made the frustrations on Sunday spike is when you watch Monday night and you're like, okay, the Washington Commanders situation ostensibly looked a little bit less better than ours. And by ours, again, I mean the Bears.
I was about ready to pull you.
Now,
just bringing them up.
Now, in saying that, I'm a person who, when I do a lot of these mock drafts that I do for, the company that's about to go defunct, different story. But when I do these mock drafts, and when I look at the college landscape, I look at the professional landscape, I'm looking at rosters, I'm looking at coach, all these things. So when I looked at Washington, I'm like, it looked solid, but again, rookie quarterback, it's a whole new organization. I mean, it's a whole new organization from the owner on down to your quarterback, basically, and other players, everybody in between. So it shouldn't look as tight as it did, and it looked fantastic. And I'm not saying they're perfect. It's just the eyeball test. And what your mind is telling us, it's like ours looks so far removed from that. It doesn't even look close to what Washington was implementing. And I don't care if there are a lot of people saying, oh, they kept it simple. He threw to one side of the field more than the other. Whatever the reason, that's part of the development. You find a way to nurture. And then on top of that's compounded by the realization that, oh, what the just happened in Green Bay? That dude wasn't on the team, and that dude, Malik Willis, wasn't on the team until August 26th, up until game day Sunday, had only been on the team 27 days, less than a month. And back-to-back weeks, he's done something that Jordan Love hadn't done this year yet, and that's win games. They're 2-0 because Malik Willis has been the starting quarterback. But more importantly, the organization, what they've done is the reason why Malik Willis could do what he was able to do. You find out what your players can do. You don't ask them to do too much. And in the process, you begin to develop them within that context. And that's what the Packers have been doing for the 30-plus years. That's what the 49ers do. Once again, the 49ers, Purdy's the last pick in the draft. He's not some, stud quarterback. If he was, he'd have been a first or a second-round pick. And I'm not knocking Purdy. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, some people just, you look at your physical attributes, you get drafted based upon those to some extent, to a greater extent. But that doesn't mean he's not effective. He can be more effective because of what he's surrounded by, organizationally speaking. And then I'm saving the last, obviously I'm going to get to Justin. And it's not about, before anyone goes to fuck off, and excuse my language, it's going to slip out and now and then here and there. It's not about,
you're fine.
It's not about Caleb. It's not about Justin. It's not about any of these individual players. It's organizationally is what I'm talking about. We see Justin, young man who's 25 years old. Some people are like, oh, he is what he is. He's never going to get any better. He's garbage, blah, blah. I'm like, he's 25 years old. He was in a bad situation. Just like the gentleman who's in Minnesota. I was never a big, of the names, is Darnold. I was never a big Darnold. Not a hater, but not a big. I was like, I saw him in college. He's good, but there's some things he needs to clean up. But he's got NFL talent. He definitely has an NFL first-round arm. All these other things. But it wasn't somebody I would have drafted. But I get if you draft him, but you gotta do things to help him out, right? Before the season, I don't know if I was on you guys' show. I know it's on a couple other people's shows, and I was talking about it. I was like, well, watch out for Minnesota. Oh, you're just a Minnesota fan. You say you're so negative about the Bears. You never root for the Bears. It's like, dude, get over yourself. It's not. You asked me my opinion. I'm giving you my opinion based upon what I'm seeing. I'm being as objective as I possibly can. Yes, I have biases, and yes, I have an affinity for the Bears and so on and so forth, but I'm still going to give you my objectivity to the best of my ability. And when I look at Sam Darnold, I'm like, just like Justin, here's a guy, but worse than Justin. He went to 2 bad teams. He went from the Jets, and it got worse when he was in Carolina. But then he goes to San Francisco, gets that bad juju out of him. He looked decent in a couple of appearances. I'm like, okay, that looks like a guy who's passing with confidence, a guy who's got his head clear. And then he goes to Minnesota, and we know how good Kevin O'Connell can be with lesser talent. We saw a lot of that last year. Kudos to him. And we know that the offense, the talent around there is great, and the structure, and conceptually speaking, it's not much different than what he's been learning. So it wasn't like he had to relearn things, some terminology, but concepts are pretty much the same. He hit the ground running with all that talent. And it's like, yeah, they're going to be really competitive. And the Brian Flores thing, go ahead. And I tell everybody, I say, hey, everybody, ask me what new team Brian Flores is going to be head coaching. Any one of you, go ahead and ask me. Ask me, please.
I already know the answer.
What new team?
No team.
No team. not any, because NFL is still pissed at him because he's got a lawsuit against him. So he's not going anywhere. He's going to be the defensive coordinator for some time until he decides he wants to, be a defensive coordinator somewhere else, or maybe goes to a different league altogether to be a head coach. But NFL, not going to be a head coach anytime soon. So that defense is just going to continue to layer itself on top of whatever other successes that they've had, which is what they're doing now, which is why they're one of the best defenses in the NFL. So you're looking at a potential juggernaut. And just like Kansas City, where the head coach, his offensive coordinator is not going anywhere, and the defensive coordinator doesn't want to go anywhere to be anywhere else but be a defensive coordinator, and he's more than happy to stay there. And you see how successful they are. Minnesota is going to have a string of successes like that now because they have a young quarterback who's learning just like Mahomes. Now, granted, he's injured, but he's still learning. And you look at Darnold right now, and he seems like he's doing really well. Am I saying they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, but I'm saying they're going to be a problem, and they're going to be standing. And you're seeing building blocks. And Minnesota was almost, it's like if you go back 6 months, like Minnesota was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And all of a sudden, it looks really good, and it's tight. And we see Washington, and it's tight. And we see Green Bay, the quarterback's down. We got to check. Willis? What the hell? And he's no interceptions, no turnovers, three or four touchdowns. He's responsible for the passing and running, and over 400 yards total yards of offense from scrimmage. And then Pittsburgh's 3-0. So these three players on these three organizations are 8-0. And I'm looking at us at 1-2 with two teams that we should have had a better chance at winning. Tennessee, thank you, Will Levis. That probably should have been lost. But if we played better, if we were better fortified, if we looked like these other teams I mentioned to some degree, I feel that was as a home game, we had a chance to win that one. And definitely last week was one we should have won. I mean, hands down. That was just really bad on everybody's part. So I know you brought me on. I didn't mean to dominate the last 7 to 10 minutes or whatever, but just letting you know before anyone starts thinking that I'm on this, this rant because I'm upset about Caleb or I'm pissed about whatever, or I'm comparing Justin. I'm not. I'm looking at the entire NFL. And as first big argument I had, I was talking with Mark Harmon. I'm like, it's not about Justin. It's not about Caleb. It's about this organization with the first pick overall. You have an opportunity here to do something. Now, it's all over with? No. Is everything, is the sky falling? No. It's a little low. It's cloudy right now. There's some drizzling going on. But the problem is it's not something that we see offensive line-wise is going to be fixed like it needs to be fixed or addressed until probably next year. And the frustration, the flim-flum flarfing and all the cursing and all the expletives that have been coming out of my mouth is because I don't want to see this organization potentially ruin another quarterback by him developing maybe bad habits just to survive out there, or worse, him going the way of Joe Burrow and getting damaged, physically. And it's like unnecessarily so. And it's like, stop asking to pass the ball 52 times, run the fucking ball. Learn how to crawl if you have to crawl before you walk before you run. You know how it goes. These guys are trying to do a full-on sprint, and we don't even know how to tie up our shoes yet. So it's a situation that is maddening, and that's where I think a lot of people's frustration and ire pretty much is. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Glynn.
All right, there, Forrest.
Been great having you. Tell us where everyone can find you.
Well, I for one totally agree with everything you said, and I can't even really add anything to it because that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, I think the organization has just done a bad job of surrounding him to make him better, to make him more comfortable, to make this offense even more viable.
Maybe I can help you guys with that. Before we get to that, PJ, let's get to chat. We got a lot of guys here that we have to get to. Doug Van Dorn, thanks for joining us.
Steve Phillips,
Bruja7,
Jay Grizz,
J2K,
Vernon Roseman.
Vernon Roseman's a friend of mine. He got me the job when I worked for the Bears in the mid '90s. I think I showed you this before. And we got to stay in the dorm and all that stuff for 2 weeks with the Bears. I was in the press box for 3 straight seasons, got to go on the field, into the locker room, all that jazz. So Vernon wanted me to tell you that he's a big fan of yours. He loves your takes on everything, and everything that he just said to me on the phone, literally an hour before the show, you just said. So you guys are definitely jiving together. So he wanted me to let you know he's a big fan of yours, and keep doing what you're doing.
I'm trying.
Minister Charles Johnson,
Zach Sullivan,
Don Burr.
Don Burr's in here, huh? Wow, we're moving on up, guys. Armando Lera Jr.,
Simon S.
STC Scott, Triple R,
Antmus,
Bruja7. Let's see who else is in here. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you,
Mr. Mayhem.
Mr. Mayhem. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Thursday night football night. I don't know. It's just that's how we roll. So can I take just a moment? I want to point out. First off, I want to ask you, Glenn, and everyone in chat too. If the Bears were 3-0 right now, would there still be as much angst? Would you still be looking at all of the negative plays so negatively if we were 3-0? If we hit on some big plays that I want to show you, there's been a lot of them in every game, and they're just overthrows. And once those get dialed in, he's got 2 extra touchdowns a game.
Here's where I go with your premise that if we're 3-0, we're not having the same argument, because the reason we're 3-0 is because the line's blocking better. The overthrows won't be overthrows because he had time to step into his passes like we saw Jaden Daniels do. If we're 3-0, that's because the functionality of the offense is doing a better job than what it has been doing. The coaches are making better decisions. So no, that wouldn't be the case, because the reasons wouldn't be why we're upset. We're upset at 1-2, potentially 0-3, because of bad decisions by the coaching staff, because of you're at the goal line and you've got your big back and you didn't use him at all at the goal line. You brought in Khalil, which I'm fine with. You used him once and then you didn't really use him again. And then you try to do a pitch out to the side that's overloaded with the defense on the short side of the field with the quarterback that everyone pretty much knows is probably not going to run on the pitch out. And it was doomed from the start. And I don't even talk about the guys on the floor. They're probably trying to do cut blocks, but as far as offensive linemen, but you're talking about
them on the ground.
But you're talking about 5 Colts players who knew exactly where the ball was going, and a running back
goal, right?
Yeah, right. Right before the half, it's like
that play should have been exactly what it was. Only Caleb fakes the pitch to Swift, rolls out to his right, and then commits on the line, and he follows him. He's wide open.
I mean, I'm not here on 4th and 1 at that point, because you've been struggling the entire game. Kick the field goal. It's the first half. Come away with some points. I don't know why kicking a field goal all of a sudden it just seems like it's like beneath people to do. You're paying the kicker on the team. Get your money's worth. Get him into a rhythm. Don't just bring him out for a 50-yard field goal. And I don't want to talk about the fact that he can't kick 56 yards. You bring him out for that, and you're sacrificing field position. It's just basic football stuff that's just throwing me. Like, I wouldn't even do that if I'm playing a freaking video game. I'm like, dude, I'm going to take the points. I'm not going to try a 56-yard field goal kicker. 56-yard field goal with a kicker that I know can only go 50 to 52.
That's why you got that punter too. That's the perfect situation for that punter.
On top of the fact that instead of using that 4th round pick to get, I don't know, a lineman, say, for instance, use on a punter, and I'm okay, everybody in the world. I'm okay with the punter. I'm not pissed. He's a weapon. Weaponize him. Utilize him. Have him do a punt that, is inside the, 10-yard line. Nail them, because their quarterback's not doing anything either. So it's just a lot of things that just football sense-wise doesn't. I just combined words. Doesn't and hasn't. So doesn't. Things that doesn't make any sense, but there's some things that just don't make any sense. And it's been over the course of this season. And it's like, okay, if your offensive coordinator is about to do some wickety wackety stuff, you're the head coach, you're the CEO, as you've been saying, nix that crap and do something else. You don't see Tomlin letting that bullshit happen. He's going to nix it. No, we're going to do this. You don't see Harbaugh letting that shit happen. No. And every now and again, I get you're going to let your offensive coordinator try something. I get that. We saw Pete do that. It cost him the Super Bowl. It can cost you. But that wasn't nearly as egregious as some of the stuff that we've been seeing here, which seems pretty basic. Not to mention the misuse of the red flag the week before, and the misuse of timeouts this past week. It's like, dude, what's going on here? Like, are you reacting to what you think people are going to say that you shouldn't have done? It's like, are you coaching this game? Are you coaching people's commentaries about your coaching style? That's what it seems like, and it shouldn't have to seem that way. I'm sure he isn't. I'm sure whatever he's doing, he's full of whatever conviction. But again, right now, the appearances based upon what we see being executed, or the lack therefore of execution out there, is troubling. And because you're putting at risk. Here's the thing: as much as Caleb is the franchise quarterback, and as much as he is integral to the success and fortunes of this franchise going forward, he is not the only MF on this MF team. And I mean that with respect to everybody. It's a team. Other guys have lives, careers on. Everybody's not going to be on the same track as Caleb. Everybody's not going to be here for 10 years. Everybody's not going to be here for 7 years. Some mofos won't be here after next year. So you're doing a disservice to them as well, and you're going to lose them, because if they start to feel like everything is, yes, everybody knows it's about the quarterback, but don't make me feel like it's about the quarterback. You want guys in their feelings at this point.
I was trying to come out here and be positive today, and you're right. You're correct.
No, there's positivity in everything
correct.
I'm saying, because these are things that can be addressed and corrected. Just don't put your head in the sand. Okay. Yeah. And not you. I'm collectively speaking about the Bears organization.
Yeah.
Don't put your head in the sand. And fans have a right to people. Calm down. No, fuck that, man. No, I could be pissed. I could be upset about this.
I turned to my wife at the beginning of that fourth quarter, and I said, "This is the drive. This is the drive of the game. They have got to march down the field, score a touchdown, and go for 2, because then they're a field goal away from tying it. And they march down there, they score the touchdown, and then there's confusion as to what they're going to go for. How could there be any freaking confusion? Did the confusion come from the joking, playful banter between Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams keeping that first touchdown ball? Did the confusion come from that? Because were they thinking that because Caleb was running off the field, the other guys called for 1, and then they had to change it to 2? That's the most. That goes along to what you're saying about just the overall, team functionality.
Yeah, I you know what, I don't know how to say this, because, and it's not. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not saying anyone has to think like me or perceive or whatever. I'm not knocking anyone else's way, how they process. Right now, for the first half of this season, coming into this season, I'm literally not worried about wins and losses. I'm worried about my whole concern is, how are you developing? Where show me this pathway towards development of not just Caleb, but an offense that can be something that will attack Brian Flores' defense, something that can handle the first number of first-round defensive players, picks that have been defensive players on the Green Bay Packers, something that can handle a 30-year blockade that the Packers have put around us. something that can handle what is now the resurgent, roaring lions. We're in one of the toughest divisions in all of NFL. Both the AFC North and NFC North are in my opinion, the two toughest divisions in the football. And I know the AFC North has some teams that are struggling winning right now. Don't worry, they're going to get it together. But and they're not going anywhere. The big reason why the AFC North is as strong as it has been is because those coaches have been there for some time. And none of those coaches are on the hot seat. Even the Bengals may be struggling now. They'll get it together. They're too talented not to. Those coaches have been there for a while.
Right.
Guess what's happening here? Same thing is starting to happen here, but we're the only one that has, the incontinuity here,
It's at the offensive, the OC position. It's rinse and repeat. And my fear is, and it's actually not my fear because I don't think it's going to happen, but man, if they do fire Flus, my fear is that they don't get enough out of the offense, although the offense is clearly progressing. And this kind of brings me to my next question.
Is the offense progressing, or does Caleb look better passing? Those are two different things to me.
I think the offense is, well, that's a good question. It is because of Caleb. But at least it is because of Caleb.
But you're saying the offense. I'm sorry. When you say the offense, I think you're speaking in totality.
Now, yeah, I'm looking at 148 yards, 205 yards, 426 yards.
So you're talking about just in terms of amassing yardage. Now, most of that those are passing yards, right? But the running game is part of the offense, and that's not progressing at all.
Right. It's
so for me, and I'm not being an ass. I don't mean to be an asshole. All right, and I apologize if it comes. When I hear you say the offense, I'm like, wait, no, it's dissonance to me because it's the passing game is progressing. I'll agree with you there, and I think Caleb is getting better at what he is trying to do out there. And
the running game has gone from 93 yards a game to 71 to 63.
So the offense, to me, the offense is in disarray still. There's a dissonance there. There's not a connectivity. There's not a synergy. There's not anything it's asynchronous at this point. And that's a problem that can be fixed, no doubt. I know it's week 3. What is happening in the midst of that? Is Caleb, he's been sacked 5 times last week?
4 times last week.
7 times the week before?
7 times the week before.
And about 4 or 5 times the previous?
2 the first week. Okay,
so that's 7, 4, so that's 13 in 3 games. So he's averaging about 4 sacks a game.
Yeah.
Okay. Not to mention all the hits.
Yeah.
So in week 3. so what is that doing to him in terms of, is it speeding him up? Is it making him a little more erratic than he would be? Is it causing any stuff down? I don't know. And he seems like he's a very strong-minded young individual. So I don't think psychologically he's damaged at this point. I'm not going that far. But physically, you're putting him at risk. All it takes is one hit.
I think he himself is getting better from it. But I mean, I don't think he's starting to get nervous or, no. I think he's actually starting to settle in and find his way through the offense a little bit better. But
what else is happening?
Point, the offensive line is getting train wrecked.
You're making up words like me today.
Yeah, train wrecked. But Coleman Shelton getting run over like a train by a linebacker. I mean, like a Raggedy Ann doll run over it's like it seems to be, though, those are plays where he's absolutely not paying any attention to that guy. I had no idea he was coming. Although there has been some where he's just gotten run over on the offensive line too. So I mean.
Well, here's the thing I'm talking about too, and when I say it's not just about Caleb, here's what you run the risk of doing too, is losing players on this team. Did anyone check out DJ Moore's body language right before halftime? I'm sure some of the frustration was I didn't get into the end zone, but that's not what his body language is telling me. His body language is telling me, man, this is some bullshit. This is what his body language is telling me. And he, although he had 8 catches for 78 yards last week, those are some hard-earned yards and hard-wrought receptions that he had to deal with. That he's a young man and in terms of our perspective, but on the football field, he's getting close to that veteranship where you don't want those hits unnecessarily. So
right,
because it does, you're not that young that the hurts sting a little bit longer. But it's not just that, it's how he's having to go after these passes, and how some of the passes when he works so hard to get open over his head. It's just like you don't want to lose your receivers. And he's a very, level-headed young man. But if you understand body language to any extent, he's telling you something. He's screaming out loud without saying anything. And that's what you don't want to run the risk of doing, is losing some of the other players along the way, because now you're getting a potentiality of having something where people are pulling in different directions.
Are you sure that you're not mistaking that for just frustration in himself, or do you think it's frustration in the actual offense that it's not working? Because there's a play in last week's game. I actually have it here in the clips that I'm going to eventually play. Now I'm kind of not wanting to play them because you've already stated everything as being correct, and I agree with you. But there was the one where it looked like it was a perfectly thrown ball by Caleb, deep out to the sideline, and he just didn't turn in time, and he fell to the ground right before the ball hit, and he kind of tumbled and laid on his back, all looking really frustrated. That to me seemed like maybe that was his fault, that he didn't turn at the right time. So that frustration came from himself. So I'm wondering how much of it.
You can pick any one play and a person can be in that moment. I'll agree with you there. And maybe that could have been something that personally he felt frustrated with, possibly. However, I would say there are times when you can get a vibe, and he's sending out a vibe. And sometimes it emanates when in the locker room he's asked a certain question and he doesn't answer a question candidly. He answers the question, but it's not as candid as he can be. And again, people might say passive aggressive. I'm not going to go there, but it's saying something without saying everything. And I believe there people, and I don't know. I'm not going to be Dr. Phil. Hey, how's that working for you? I'm not going to be Dr. Phil here, but there are things, I think we're all human, and there are things where you see a person whose personality, maybe it mirrors your own or what you've been around a lot. And so maybe you're a bit more attuned to it. And there are times where there are people, DJ's not a me kind of guy on the football field. He's not a diva, as we would say, when it comes to certain receivers. That doesn't mean he doesn't have an ego. All professional athletes do. However, there are things that some people, they internalize things more. And so you look for certain cues when you come across. I'm a person, outside of the last podcast I did, I'm a person who usually internalizes things a little bit more. I'm not as vociferous, and I don't really, show that part so much. So when I look at DJ, I'm like, yeah, if I were a wide receiver in NFL, I'd probably act, I could see where there's similarities there. And if I was frustrated, I'm I'm a team player, so I'm not going to throw the quarterback under the bus. I'm not going to throw the OC under the bus, all that kind of stuff. But when you ask me, this is what's going to happen. My eyebrow, I'm going to go, yeah, well, there's right. The plays are called, and that's, what we need to run.
Yeah. I hear you.
Saying a lot without saying everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm picking up from him. I think that seems to be, and not only that, but we saw a little bit of that last year, the first few games, because they weren't utilizing him. And he didn't say that, but he's just like, yeah, so you let other people say it. But right. Then we saw how he was as the season wore on, and he had that connectivity with his quarterback. And you saw at some point that, you know what, I'm going to go the extra mile for my guy because I know whatever. That has to be developed. It's not going to happen overnight. I get that. You see it with Odunze and Caleb right now. They have a better rapport on the football field. And we don't know what Keenan's like yet because it hasn't been established. And that's another argument I'll get back to a little bit later on, some other time down the line. So with him and DJ, it's not there, and it is frustrating. But there are other things. It's not just Caleb. It's the OC, how the play's called, blocking, what's being asked, all these things. And that's the totality of what I saw in his body language.
Well, I want to pull up some of these plays here. Just my intention of this was just to show, like, if that play hits, this is a touchdown, potentially. He could have gotten hit there at the 2, but it could have resulted in a touchdown. And so this is really just a collection of bad plays, plays that did not work that could have been huge plays in the game. And I know we've talked about, all the other stuff, but I just wanted to point out that if we hit on these plays, like look at this, that's a touchdown.
That should have been a touchdown, yes.
So that we win that by, if we score on those, if he scores on that, if he doesn't overthrow him on that other one, and then that one, that's an extra 14 points. It's 45-17. So then this is, this one was, this is just, to me, he looks like he's just getting a lot better in the passing game as they progress through the season. And when the offensive line is not, you can't run the ball. Look at this. He should have caught that.
No. He should not have caught that. If you rewind that back, he got sped up because of the rush, and that's where the overthrow came from.
Oh, true, yeah. But he threw it as he was getting demolished.
He got sped up, so that pass wasn't going to be as accurate as it could have been.
Yeah, but it was still a catchable ball.
Are you out of your mind? That's not catchable.
It touched his hands. Look,
it touched a hand. And even if he was able to corral it, his feet weren't going to be in bounds. That was never going to be a catch. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the offense on this point in terms of the receiver and the quarterback. I'm not blaming them. Caleb did the best he could, and the receiver tried the best he could, but the defense succeeded in doing the best that they were able to do at that time and speeding him up. I mean, the other guys are going to win sometimes. They're getting paid too. So, but that wasn't going to be a catchable pass, not by any stretch of the means.
Fair enough. This is the play I was just talking about. So you think J2K said this play was Caleb's fault? Do you think that it's possible that his frustration there is that he didn't cut at the right moment? So this is a better angle.
I'm not certain what point at time is this in the second half.
This might have been in the first half. No, that was the second half. Yes.
That may have been the frustration of the game at that point. And I don't know that he's blaming himself as much as it can be, man, we are just not in sync.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm pissed at me. I'm not saying I'm pissed at Caleb. It's just, man, like this shit worked in practice. Right. It's just not in the game. It's just not working.
That's a touchdown. If that hits though, that's a game winner right there.
I mean, if fifths and we all be drunk, you know how that goes. So.
I chose this play because I wanted you guys to what's going on in this image, guys? What's going on in the backfield there?
T formation.
T formation.
T formation.
Have you heard me calling for the T formation, Glenn? I'm sure you have.
I haven't, but I mean, at this point, why the hell not? I've
been calling for the T formation for a while now. Just bring back some form of it into your offense.
Back to the future, huh?
And I see. This is the kind of thing that actually excites me. If we get an offensive line that can block, which I kind of have a question for you I'll get to after this. I have it written down so I won't forget it. But this is great to bring back, in my opinion, some form of the T formation, because there's so much you can do out of this formation, running and passing. In this instance, they pass. But I look at, he's open in the flat there. That was just, this is just timing and rhythm and coordinate. It's being in the offense for a while until you get this play right. But to me, I like this play.
But okay, and that's fine. And okay, and yes, you're right. Timing, and probably a week or two from now they hit. My issue is football. Then the coaches coach football? Can you play the game at hand and not what you have on the chalkboard or the whiteboard? And what I mean by that is you have a defense that's given up over 230 yards for rushing so far in the NFL. The best interior defensive lineman, DeForest, is not present, right? And you start off with Roschon Johnson, which I thought, okay, that's interesting. So you're telling me you're going to run the ball and you're going to be physical, and you start running, inside, and then you stop. Not because they were stopping you, really. You went away from it. And then you started trying to take Swift and run him the same kind of plays. It's like, well, why?
Yeah.
That's not his strength. And
Right.
then you get Roshan and you give him a pitch out. Like, what are you doing here? What you're playing what's on the chalkboard, on the whiteboard, on your iPad. No, play the game in front of you, because that's what the Colts ended up doing. Invariably, one head coach said, you know what? I'm going to stop being stupid. I've got one of the best running backs in the league. I've got one of the best offensive lines in the league. My quarterback is hot garbage today. Stop throwing the ball. I'm not going to tell you to stop throwing the ball. I'm just going to have you stop throwing the ball and call running plays. And oh my God, wow, look at that. They took control of the line of scrimmage and they won the game. So I'm upset about this situation with last week's game, because the coach, the adults in the room didn't act like the adults. They didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like you look, I realize, I'm sure we all realize, that Justin being here the last 2 years was a big reason why the Bears finished 1 and 2 respectively the last 2 years in rushing. But with that being said, Khalil Herbert 2 years ago led the league in yards per carry. Okay. And last year the Bears finished, second. But if you take away Justin's, yardage, they're still like top 10 both years. That's because you had a commitment to running the ball. And if you ask some people, they'll say, like, hey, they knew when they came to play the Bears that they'd have to, have the mouthpiece in, because it's going to be a physical game, in terms of the Bears running the ball. You go away from that. Just because you have a shiny new toy doesn't mean that you have to, brandish it and show everybody. Learn how to walk and crawl. Develop your offense. Do things that he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to throw the 300 yards every week. He doesn't have to throw 300 yards for half the season. I mean, set modest goals offensively. I'm not saying, don't try to win, but I'm saying do things that's in the construct of where you got what you guys are learning. We're not there for practice. And even the reporters and everybody that's there, you're not there to that degree. You're not there in the meetings and all that kind of stuff. These guys, these coaches are paid to understand the talent that they have and what they can do to devise a game plan to utilize their assets to the best of their ability. If they're doing anything less than that, they're failing at their job. And that's a problem, because you're not going to have success on a football field if you're not taking care of everything prior to that in terms of your the way you're going to approach the game. And it is ridiculous that I'm in a bowling alley. I bowl on Sundays. I'm in a bowling alley, and I'm sitting right there when the Bears are right there before the half, and they're at the goal line. This play you're referring to, you're showing right now. And right before they hike the ball, as they're setting up, and they're right in this formation, the guys are like, are they going to do a pitch out? Guys in a bowling alley. They were just bowling. They weren't even watching the freaking game. They're like, walk by. Like, 3 guys are like, he's about to do an option. He's about to pitch to the left. I'm like, nah, they would. Oh my God, they are.
See, to me, this formation, this play needs to have Komet on the left, and then Caleb needs to fake this as he's rolling with him, fake that pitch, and then roll out all the way across to the other side of the field, and then Komet's rolling out with him. Touchdown.
Maybe, but kick the field goal, do better on the other play calls, have a better formation, or, be physical. I would have felt better, and not that they have to make me feel better, but I'd have felt better if they just lined up and you have 3 tight ends. You put Mercedes Lewis somewhere. Hell, put him as a lead blocker. I don't know. We're the team that had the fridge be a lead blocker. I mean, grab some big fucking dude who's huge and large and just run behind him. I mean, for the love of God.
Right.
I mean, I'd have felt better losing doing that than the BS that we saw. That was just ridiculous. And that's what I'm saying. The adults weren't being responsible. Eberflus, kick the field goal. Okay, hey, call a timeout. You see that play? Oh, timeout.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing I'm saying. And I might have said on someone else's show as well, and I'm saying it here tonight, I don't care about what they're doing so much. I care now that they ask the question, why are we doing this? Why? Don't tell me what you're going to do. Tell me why you're going to do it. Because if the why doesn't make sense, what we're going to do makes even less sense. Ask yourself the why. Why are we doing this? If you can answer that, Okay, just show me how. I want why and how, not what. They keep going, what are we going to do? No, no, no. Why are we doing this? Answer that question first.
Yeah, because I've been waiting for him to set certain plays and formations up for future plays. I'm not quite sure we've seen that yet.
Well,
Right?
look, I'm so upset with what I've seen. That's the last thing that's I'm sorry, not the last thing, but I haven't been able to focus on that. Like with Getsy, I could, you could tell, like, dude, like there's no sequence here. This doesn't make any sense. You're not setting things up. This guy, everything at this point is so, I don't know, all over the place. I'm not even there at this point. Sometimes I'm like, can we just get the offensive linemen, to me, again, look like they're lost. And as bad as they've played, I think part of this because they're thinking too much. These guys are messed up about how they should do what they should do. The footwork is horrendous at this point. And I'm seeing guys getting beat to the inside, and not because there's some complicated swim move or a spin inside or some crazy stunting. They're getting beat head up. Someone just moves inside of them, and they're just off their back foot. It's like if a left-handed person had to do things a right-handed person needed to do, and vice versa. They just seem off kilter. And I liken it to like line dancing or like a chorus line.
Yeah, that's
if one of the dancers is misstepping, it throws the whole line off. And we see guys running around looking for someone to block, and the person that needed to block is already made the tackle behind them. It's like, how did you miss them? They're right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or they're off, they're off rhythm, and that's a functionality. That's a reflection of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know Chris Morgan's been catching hell lately, but I don't know if there's a disconnect between he and Waldron, or if what Waldron's asking these guys have to get familiar with, how they have to move now. It looks all out of sort. And so they really need to, quote unquote, go back to the proverbial drawing board, simplify what they're asking the offensive line to do. And
for me, it starts with putting Tevin Jenkins back at right guard.
Well, he played a whole year at left guard, and he did fine.
He was better at right guard.
I won't argue that. I agree. He's better at right guard, but maybe your right guard is better at being a right guard and less better at being a left guard, and Tevin's better at being a left guard, so you can, maximize who's better at whatever the case might be. But we saw Tevin a whole year at left guard. It's not like he cannot do it.
Right.
He's been effective there. But
it's better at right.
No argument.
Yeah.
But I don't think you put him there that solves everything. The problem is the whole unit, and it's.
I want to get to that super chat, Carl. Bring that back up from Way Too Rough. How do you not pass at least once on the goal line, considering how bad those run plays were on the goal line? What does SMH mean?
Shaking my head.
Shaking my head.
Thanks,
Thank
PJ.
you. Thanks. Thank you very much, Way Too Rough. We appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, if you're at the 3-yard line or 4-yard line, I see it. But if they're like at the 1-yard line, I mean,
yeah, you would think 4 running plays would work.
If the point is, and here's the question, or I'll answer. Way too tough. I'm sorry, I'm cut. I'm getting my glasses. I'll answer the last super chat. Way too tough. The Colts can't stop the run this year. So to me, it would be you're I won't say you're playing into their hands, but you're letting them off the hook if you don't run the ball. The problem was the way we ran the ball was ineffective and goofy and ass backwards. So you don't need to pass the ball because this team can't stop the run. They hadn't stopped it all year. So I don't know if I'm asking a line that can't. If the line can't run block, and I want them to pass block in an area where everything happens even more quickly than it does if you were in the middle of the field, and you have a shorter amount of you have more things helping the defense at that point when you're passing, because you have the in line, the sidelines, and everything is a lot more quickly. It happens a lot more quickly. You don't have as much space to allow a pass route to develop more or get that separation. If they can't pass block, I don't know if I want to do that. Okay, a quick pass, maybe. Sure. You try a fade route. You got tall receivers. Try a fade route in the corner route. I mean, any number of things. I'm apoplectic. If apparently it doesn't matter what the hell they're going to do, none of it was going to work. So I'm shaking my you're shaking your head. I'm shaking. I'm was it shaking SMDH. I'm shaking my damn head. So I'm with you. And again, that's where a lot of Bears frustration is. It's like I think we thought we got rid of the bad coordinator, and now we got somebody who's doing stuff that seems almost as inoperable and as insane as the previous guy. It's like, what? Like, are we in a twilight zone? And again, I'm telling you, it's bad enough how that game played out. But when you see Green Bay go through what they went through and have success, and you see Pittsburgh having success in 3-0, and then you see Washington, the quarterback who's drafted right after your guy on Monday night, his first Monday night game on the road against a desperate Cincinnati Bengals team who scored 33 points. It wasn't like they weren't playing well. And I don't care how good or bad you think a person's defense may or may not be. That's on the road with a rookie quarterback with a desperate team, and they looked really good. They went pound for pound, blow for blow, and he stood in there and dropped a dime while taking the hit. You can't look at that and then look at us and not be like, what the WTF?
I had some in my collection of plays. I had a dime that he threw while taking a hit too, and I don't even want to pull it up because you're just going to find something else wrong with the offense. I came in here trying to be optimistic. No, I'm like, well, nah.
Here's the thing. I am optimistic. It doesn't sound like it, but we can be more. We're complicated individuals as humans. We're layered individuals. As Shrek said, I like an onion. You're layered. Okay, so we've got layers. You peel it back, you see something else. So what I'm saying is, I can be frustrated. There are good things here. I'll tell you. Okay, I've hammered a lot of stuff. So to your point, what do I think is positive? What takeaways from last week and collectively the last 3 weeks? I think the quarterback we have is a very strong-minded individual. I think he manifests things in his life, and I think he'll manifest winning and being a successful quarterback. Hopefully it's with us and not a different team. I believe that as bad as things looked, that's a good thing in terms of it being brought to light so that they can address it and not be fooled like the first week might have given you a false sense of security. Like, okay, hey, we got through that one, but we're good. No, we're not. And last week really showed you where. And even the Houston game is like, hey, there's some things we were close. Houston's a pretty good team until you see Minnesota kick their ass. And you're like, okay, well, maybe we need, So this was a thing where you need to look in the mirror. This is a mirror-looking type kind of scenario. So I'll take that away from it. The connection between Odunze and Caleb is growing because he was missing Odunze a lot, and Odunze looked a little like he was off some of his route running the first couple of weeks. Here he looked like it was tighter, and so he and Caleb's connection. The fact that Keenan Allen hasn't played yet gives me some hope that his veteran leadership, his ability to navigate the middle of the field will help out Caleb. And speaking of the middle of the field, Caleb and Kmet, thank you, because Kmet's on my fantasy team, so thank you for freaking throwing the ball to him. But in seriousness, that's something also that, because you could see the frustration in Kmet the previous 2 weeks as well was growing. Those are real things, those frustrations. So I'm seeing those as positive things. Getting Roshan out there to play is like, okay, you get to see what these guys can do. So this should help the process in terms of implementing a game plan that can be inclusive of these guys and their abilities and how you can utilize them throughout the course of a game. The secondary is proving to me time and time again that is one of the best units in all of the NFL, regardless of the team or whatever. That's one of the best units, pound for pound, in the NFL. The linebackers, solid as hell, and I saw more pressure from up front being generated from the interior. That's a good thing. So there are the special team seems to be, for all intents and purposes, pretty solid. So these are things that are good. 2/3 of your team really is at a point where you should be, competing at a quote unquote playoff-like level. You've got that with your special teams and your defense. The offense is something that, if these guys can take the lessons, the hard examples, a real strong look in the mirror, and make these adjustments going forward, you still have enough time in the first half of this season that if you finish 6-3, and then the last 8 games you come close, even if you go 3-5, putting you at 9-8 would still be somewhat successful. Putting you at 10-7 may give you an opportunity to make the playoffs.
Not for me. I haven't won in the Super Bowl.
but it's not going to be easy because as we said earlier, as the NFL is showing us, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, they know how to win games, and they look strong on both sides of the ball. That's the thing. Both of those teams look strong. Green Bay just found their backup quarterback, so they're deep at a position that we didn't know if they were deep at.
Yeah.
Minnesota may not be deep there at that position, but didn't the guy that we have isn't ripping backing up Darnold? Yeah, so I don't feel bad about that situation. Is pretty, and they've got some of the best talent offensively, and they're having success without even Hawkinson playing yet. So, and they're deep at running back. A lot of people don't realize that after Aaron Jones, you got Ty Chandler. He started at Tennessee, transferred over to North Carolina, but as a dual threat running back who can run and catch the ball. And I think he put up about 70 yards last week as well. So they're deep at certain positions, and their coaching is solid. That's the other thing in this division. The coaching solid. I know Detroit will take some chances, but they know who they are, and that's the other issue. These teams know who they are. We're still figuring that out on offense. So we've got time, but you're going to have to maximize the efforts in shoring up things and tightening up things and really creating an identity that you can glom onto pretty much from now going forward. So when you face the Rams, you can't be still trying to figure out how you're going to attack them. You need to know what you're doing, have that conviction, so you can have that type of execution. And they need to be working on execution this whole going forward. Make sure your shit is tight, man. So that's the positive stuff I can give you.
Glenn, we're getting some questions ready here for you from chat. There's some good ones I can already see. I wanted to talk so I decided to not show the plays that never were, and just kind of go over some plays that I think were the plays that I liked. This is a simple running play, but what I like about it is it's the first game of the season, and Caleb Williams is already doing this. He's cerebral enough to do this kind of fake pass handoff. The only thing that I have a problem with is it should have been to Khalil Herbert. Okay. But I like how he does this little fake hitch, fake pass, hands it off to, what is that, Swift?
Travis Homer.
Oh, is it Travis Homer? Yeah, that should have been Khalil Herbert. This is Khalil Herbert's play. But I like how, I'm just pointing out here, I like how Caleb Williams faked that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice NFL. This is an NFL quarterback throw right there. So I was just trying to put together some what if plays that could have shown that we could be 3-0, and then compile them with some. Oh, let me remind you of these plays that this quarterback has done so far, and we'll just kind of let it play while we're talking over here. PJ, I wanted to ask you: do you think that this team is in the process of just figuring this out personnel-wise, and it's going to take a few games? It's not just you're going to hit the ground running. That, there has been some progression, albeit regression or digression in the running game. But what we're seeing here, I mean, is I can't blame him for using his new shiny toy. But do you think that the process is it's currently going on, that they're just trying to figure out what personnel works best, and so now we're moving on to Roshan? Or do you think that that they feel like they made mistakes and they're trying different things?
Well, I think they once again looked at preseason as non-important and didn't bother to figure out certain things in preseason. They're now taking the time now to try to figure it out, for one. For two, I think that to your point, Travis Homer's my guy. I knew him from Seattle, but I tried him the first game, and he didn't look all that great. So now I'm realizing I got Roshan Johnson, I got Khalil Herbert a little bit. So let me play them. It's things that they're doing that seems to be, for the lack of a better term, but juvenile. It's like, why are we trying to figure out stuff that we should have figured out in preseason? We're trying to figure it out now. Now we're trying to implement it now. You could see the first couple of games, Swift wasn't doing what he should have been doing. When you have a guy in Khalil Herbert, like Glynn said, who averaged what 5 yards a carry a couple of years ago, but you don't even use him, and you now said what today or yesterday that, oh, he's my goal line back, a 5 yard per carry guy is a goal line back. No, he's something more than that, but yet you're not realizing that yet. So again, you're figuring out stuff or trying to figure out stuff that you should have had figured out, but instead of trying to figure it out, you have this extra preseason game and you're not playing your starter still, to where Flus made the comment the other day, we're still trying to find a combination that works on the O-line. What are you doing all preseason? I mean, again, you're doing things that's just mind-blowing to me. It's like, why are we constantly taking 4 weeks into the year to finally get our train to rolling? Did the same thing last year.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, I'm questioning his coaching ability. If it's taking you this long to figure stuff out, and you did it last year, did it the year before that, now you're doing it again this year. Why? What's taking you so long? What's the disconnect? I just, Glynn said it all, so it's hard for me to add on to what Glynn said. I mean, Glynn, I mean, I'm listening to everything he's saying, and he's spot on. It's like, it's not even a question about just
threw me all off, Glynn.
Caleb. Yeah, it's not
do this tonight.
Right, it's not a question of Justin or Caleb. It's like the whole system. I don't care if you put Tom Brady as a rookie back there, you're going to sit up there and be having the same results because they're not catering to what a player does best and how to foster it to make it better. I mean, they're not doing that. It's like, okay, they discovered, oh, well, Justin know how to run the ball. So, because Justin know how to run the ball, let's just let him run the ball all the time. What? He was not a running quarterback in college.
This is one of my favorite plays of the game, by the way. Go ahead, keep going.
It just it just blows my mind. It does. It just.
And that's a nice. I'm sorry. I apologize for cutting you off, PJ. It's a nice play, and you want your stars to have, they have the ability to have moments, but I need the moments to string together into something sustainable. So, we're not just glomming on to this moment. And that's all we have. I want to have moments, plural, not just a moment. And I as much as he's been compared to, and I think unfairly so, but compared to Mahomes, again, let's remind everybody, Mahomes sat for an entire effing year, okay? And he had super talent around him. He was drafted on a team that was already constructed, kind of my whole argument. Build your house first. Build my boat before I have a captain steer it. Don't have the captain with a wheel and nothing around him, okay? And it's with Mahomes, he can do things exceptional, but there's still a structure to what was being done to where he didn't have to carry the load, especially his first year. Even though his first year was, phenomenal. I think over 5,000 yards passing. I think he had over 50 touchdown passes, whatever. It was crazy. But it wasn't because every play was super spectacular. It wasn't because he had to carry the offense. It was like everything was, he had like the best car starting out. It's like he had a car and he was that little Nas engine or that whatever is in the Fast and the Furious. He was that little extra Nas and made it go crazy. And so now you're in a situation where Mahomes can carry the team because he has that veteran experience. He knows how to win X, Y, Z. And even though Kelsey's slowing down and other characters are becoming part of your the tapestry that's this team that you have, this Kansas City, he can be the person that can still, make sure everything stays connected because he understands that now. But you don't start him out like that. Last year with Stroud was a bit of an anomaly, but even with that, I would say look at the coaching staff. Look at everybody that was in place. Look at the structure around him. No, the running game wasn't great, and the offensive line was decent. Defense was pretty good. That same defense that had been pretty good for a couple of years. But he was able to grow into that position, and the coaches they moved in accordance to him, not superseding where he was, not expecting more than what was given. And then he took the ball and ran with it, XYZ, and you have what you have. But your coaches are like teachers, you got to. I'm sorry, I don't want to go all these different, old sayings and sound these tropes, but basically you got to know your audience, okay? And you have to understand that, and you need to, just like any coach, any teacher, I have to be able to teach to you so that we can get the best out of you, and putting you in situations where you don't have to overcome a situation I'm putting you in. You can.
Have you seen the
be
meme?
Integrated within it.
Have you seen the meme with the guy? And it's he's at the pool and he throws his baby. He's holding his 3-year-old by the leg, and he just like throws him into the pool.
No, I haven't seen that.
Starts off with like something about Green Bay and their quarterbacks, how they sit, and so how their quarterbacks sit, and then they show him throwing his kid into the pool. It's like the Bears. This is what we do to our quarterbacks.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm sorry. I apologize for going off topic again. I'll be real quick about it. After this, in my feelings, Sunday and Monday, Tuesday, I was like, if I had a son, I've got 4 daughters, so I don't have a son. But if I had a son, I don't care if he was the last pick in the draft, a free agent quarterback, or the first pick in the draft, I would keep him the hell away from Chicago, because I'm like, you don't know what the F you're doing. You don't. You just don't. You just don't. And
like Deion Sanders.
I've been watching this team that, in terms of my recollection, that I recall for half a century. Jim McMahon was the only one to kind of survive despite some of the goofy coaching, but he had a hell of a line. He had the best running back in my lifetime that I've ever seen. One of my favorite players ever, Walter Payton. And he had the fucking 85 Bear defense.
But see, here's the thing. I mean, the thing that I'm reminded of is when you have polls who kind of gets offended when the question is asked about developing the quarterback. Well, like, oh, no, that's in the past. That's not what we're doing now. And it's like, bro, but you are. I mean, but you are. I mean, it until you show me different. Why? I mean, and that's the position I was in, still was in. It's like, you're talking about bringing in a new guy, but you haven't shown me with the guy you have that you know how to develop a quarterback. So why are we going to pass up on chances to get more capital, more needs addressed, all these things, and you're still not fixing the issues that cause a quarterback to be the way he is? And I sincerely hope that Caleb doesn't develop these bad habits and start seeing ghosts, start mismanaging his footwork, and all these bad things that can happen because we don't have the structure in place to give him a line that's capable. I mean, as soon as Poles gets here, he got rid of James Daniel. Well, I say he let him walk. He didn't bother to try to re-sign him. He let him walk. Then he sits up there and signed James Daniels a year. Not James. Nate Davis a year later. However, we bring in assistant offensive line coach who came from Tennessee. Does he not tell you, hey, Nate Davis does not like to practice? He can't tell you that before you sign him? I mean, again, just mind-boggling to me. And then you're drafting a rookie offensive tackle from Yale who's hurt. How are we addressing the line problems? I give it. You did good. He did good with bringing in Wright. He did good. But what else have we done for this line? You bring in a 265-pound center and let him get bowled over by a middle linebacker? Are you serious? I mean, what are we doing? But yet, let me get offended about you asking the question that this quarterback, is he going to get ruined like the other ones? Why are you getting offended, bro? You showing me that you're not doing anything for this quarterback. Now you let him throw the ball 52 times?
Yeah.
In his third game?
Yeah. I mean, Glenn, we got 20 minutes left with you tonight. We want to thank you for joining us. We have a lot of questions for you, and I'd like to kind of mow through them. So let's just try to.
Sure,
There's some
I'll be
good
quick.
questions here from everybody. So Vern says, Glenn, what's your perspective on the management?
Can do better. I think.
I think he's talking about team like ownership management.
Yeah. Can do better. Something's wrong, and it's crazy because I know they mean well. I know they really want to do well. I've met some of the Bear contingent. It's just a lot of times it seems it's reactionary. I think they've gotten away from being reactionary now, and they're trying to be progressive in how they approach things. But they're still finding their way a little bit. And again, it's the third week. I know we need to give it time, so on and so forth. There are things that are in place, but it's frustrating because this is those franchise in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing everybody around us seem to seemingly have success quicker, sooner, and then maybe even fall off, but then find success again. Like Minnesota seemed like it was falling off, and now they're right back ahead of us again. And that's the frustrating part. So I think management needs to be, and I think they're allowing things to be consistent. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a hard nut to crack. It's one of the great mysteries. It's a sphinx of a mystery.
Absolutely. Sure is, man. Let's get the next one. Glenn, should they bring in Olin, find a spot for him on the staff?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
because so. No, not because I don't think Olin is awesome. Olin is so intelligent. I've had a chance to work with him for a couple of years. Olin is he's what you need, but you bring Olin in, he's going to be cracking heads, and he's going to be sued, and he's not going to have the patience for the idiocy. I think they should use him as a consultant, but use Zoom calls.
Nice.
Nowhere near the players.
Nowhere near the players.
What's next, Carl? DVD asks, how do we explain the same O-line coach and 4 of the 5 same linemen are having such different results this year?
The new offensive coordinator, and it's not like I'm placing blame, but I don't want to say disconnect because that sounds like it's an issue. I think they have yet to synchronize, and it's whatever Waldron is asking. It may be like the players. If you've been blocking a certain kind of way, and now all of a sudden you need to block some differently, and maybe the approach is different, maybe your footwork has to be different, maybe you need to move this way instead of that way, and you're always used to moving that way. So moving this way is awkward, and you're thinking too much out there, you're a step behind. And if you're a step behind, and the defense kind of knows where they think you're going, and they're beating you there, that means they're a step ahead of you. So you a step behind, they're a step ahead. That's 2 steps. So right now it's just a matter of they've got to find their rhythm, and they haven't found it yet. That's what you hope you can do in practice, and that's what the preseason games, as PJ and I've alluded to time and time again, that's where you take advantage of that. It's not so much just about Caleb being out there. Those guys need to be out there too.
Well said. Simon S. asks, Glenn, what room do you feel like Poles has to address the O-line this season outside of next year's draft? Wait, Glenn, what room do you feel like Poles has to address?
Mm-hmm. The O-line of the season.
That's the question.
Outside of next year's draft.
O-line this season outside of next year's draft or trade potential in 2025-26. And where is he most likely to find most?
That's if you really want to, ask me, to be as candid as I possibly can be. And this, I don't want to rehash arguments that divided the city last year, and it's a civil war of things. And again, it's not about Justin. I just want to preface that. I thought, and I went on a football night in Chicago with Mark Carman, and my argument was I didn't care about whether Caleb was like Mahomes. I didn't care because with the first pick overall, you have an opportunity here to really reset the organization. You can do what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been doing for 50 years of my lifetime. You can do what the Packers have been doing for the last 30 years. You can do what the Chiefs are now doing. You have an opportunity here to really, really build and construct your roster, to fortify it. You don't have to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. You have to have a great quarterback to get to a Super Bowl. You look at the 49ers. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 6 or 7 years. One guy's been the last pick in the draft. The other guy was a second-round pick who was traded from New England, who hasn't done anything since he left San Francisco. Okay, and Garoppolo was such a great quarterback. he passed less than 10 times in a championship game, a conference championship game, to get to the Super Bowl. So
I just want you guys to know. See, that's my brother right there. Glynn Morgan, that's my brother right there. He's saying everything up, man. Thank you, Glynn. Thank you, Glynn.
So to answer your question in terms of what room, I think some of that went by the wayside. And if there's anything that I have an issue with, was that I didn't feel like we maximized that first pick as much as we could have, or really, to be quite honest with you, 2 top 10 picks. I'm not upset with the guys we chose. I like them. They're talented players. They're blue chippers. I get it. Got it. But Poles has already gone into next year's draft class twice to address a position he never addressed he never addressed properly in the draft by picking a blue chip edge rusher. He used a pick from next year to go back into the draft to get Booker, and then he went into next year's draft capital again to get get Taylor. And you said there's a third person. Who's the third person?
Williams, the defensive tackle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, totally
Where's
forgot
that guy
about that. Yeah. So I think to answer your question, I think his room it's getting smaller, and here's what he's probably telling himself. I got Carolina's second pick, which should be a top 35 pick. Well, I don't know. Carolina with Dalton looked pretty decent the other day, but let's say it's a top 50 pick. I think I'm safe to say it's a top 50 pick. And with Justin doing well, that 4th round pick should turn into, maybe a top 125 pick. So maybe you get the line, but again, that's next year. And as far as this year, I don't really know, because what linemen are out there. They're just lying around there waiting.
Actually, this piggybacks off of my last question that I wanted to ask you. So this goes right into it. Do you think that there's, much like we saw happen with us the last couple of years, Zach Taylor got picked from our practice squad. I think he's starting for that team now. If I'm wrong, correct me. Is there somewhere we can pluck somebody's offensive lineman off their practice squad, the Niners, or something like that?
Okay. It still has to work. I mean, is that what we're banking on? That somebody's guy on their team that they're not using is the key, is going to unlock all the problems, to solve everything that we have at issue. It's going to be the Rosetta Stone to all the answers, and decipher all the things the defenses are doing to complicate our lives. If that's what we're banking ourselves on, then that's just like me saying, well, NBC Sports Chicago is about to close its doors, man. But I tell you, if I keep playing those lotto numbers, baby, it's gonna come through. Just give me time. It's gonna happen. Yeah,
sell your car and buy tickets with that.
Yeah,
you can do it.
Or I'm going through seat cushions trying to see, if there's enough dollars left there to pay the mortgage. So that's not a really winning game plan there. The thing that's more plausible is your draft picks and in free agency, but again, it's looking like next year, not this year, and that's unfortunate, because coming into this season, what did we say? Caleb's entering a situation like unlike any other first round pick or first pick overall has ever had at the quarterback position, because he has all this talent around him. It's like, yeah, it's got a Porsche of a body, but it's got a Pinto engine underneath.
Next question for you, Glenn. J2K asks, Glenn, Waldron made a point to pass a lot in shotgun and spread wide receivers instead of running the ball. Is it possible he's trying to speed up Caleb's growth instead of creating a balanced run-pass formula? Or is it just the offensive line isn't getting it done?
I honestly think when it's game time, these guys are so hardwired to win. I think they're trying to do whatever they can to win the game, because it's very difficult to win a game in the NFL. If you watch, here's the thing, man. I love my city. I do. Although I'm trying to move. No, I love my city. As I get older, it gets colder, and I feel it a little bit more.
That's why after I moved, I feel like I'm on vacation all the time. It's great. So I work from home. I work out of Illinois, so I was just in West Chicago for a month, and every day on the way to work and on the way back to my hotel, I had the score, and I started to drive myself mad with it because I was like, man, I remember like living here, growing up here, just being like, God, I hate being a Bears fan. I hate listening to all this shit. I hate getting all so amped up about this and blah, 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 blah. And that was why when I came home, I was like, oh, back to Atlanta here. Well, kind of like a gasp of relief. And I kind of stopped listening to the media this past week, and that's why I gained all this optimism. Now it's getting shit on again by the media.
What I'm trying to say is that at times here in Chicago, whether it's sports or just the world in general, we live in an echo chamber, and everything is so centered and revolves around. We're the center of the universe, our own universe, and we get so caught up in stuff we don't realize what else is going on the outside of things. So. And again, I apologize. I can't quite remember what the question was, but speed up. So right. So I don't think these guys are so focused on Caleb's development at that point in time. Like, I'm going to call these plays so I can speed him up. That's not their goal. Their goal is to win the game, because if they don't win games, they get fired. So it's like, I remember reading, again, I'm going off tangent right here, but like comic books, these guys that created these heroes that we're all familiar with now that seem iconic, and then their depths. On Batman's so layered now, you can have a college dissertation about them, and so on and so forth. These guys, they weren't thinking about that shit. They were just trying to eat. They weren't trying to make a social statement most of the time. Right. They weren't trying to come up with some archetypical character that's going to last for 50 years. They just wanted to pay the rent, get food and eat. And same thing with these coaches. I believe that they're doing what they can as the game is happening to win the game. The other stuff, the developmental stuff, the things that they're trying to do purposefully, that's probably more so in practice, and then see where he's at, and then see what we can execute during the game. But as things start to evolve or devolve in the game, at that point you're trying to win, and that's their primary focus.
Got a couple more here for you. I like J2K's. I want to end it with Triple R's off-topic question. So Glynn, J2K asks again, Glynn, do you think we should have started Bagent and let Caleb sit? How would the fan base respond to that? We did a segment on that. Like we made a clip of it called "Should We Hide Caleb?" and just not play him this season and let him sit and learn like all the good teams do. Do you think that would have benefited any of this?
No, because I don't think he's going to learn much from Bagent. And I'm not knocking Bagent, but Bagent is just in the second year. He's only played 4 NFL games. I really don't understand why we didn't keep Rippin. I'm not saying Rippin is the answer to all things, but there's even last year having Bagent behind Justin. Justin still was just in his third year. He's still a young quarterback. There's a reason, and this is kind of organizationally speaking. There's a reason why Andy Dalton was in Carolina this year. There's a reason why your sage veteran quarterback backs up the younger dude, because they're things that they've experienced and seen that they can share. Bagent can't share those experiences because he hasn't experienced a lot of them yet. I mean, at this point, Caleb's played almost as many games as Bagent. Bagent played 4, Caleb's played 3. What's he going to show him? And it's not knocking Bagent. It's just it is what it is. And so I think if Caleb second half, if his third quarter looked as bad as the first half, let's say he had 5 turnovers or whatever, I at that point, I was saying this, I was at the bowling alley with the other guys. I'm like, if it gets this bad, just for this game, because you're pressing too much, I just want to pull you out just to clear your head. Like, watch this. Take you out of this. I don't want to jeopardize your health. It's not you, it's us. We'll figure it out. This is a especially like if, say, the Colts went up like 2, 3 scores or whatever. It didn't get that way. And again, like I said, Caleb, psychologically, he's strong-minded. He can manifest some stuff. He's a fighter. He stood in there. So that's great. And so that's a positive thing. I think that, through all that minutia of bullshit, I think he was still able to divine something from that. And hopefully the team did collectively. But no, I don't think starting Bagent helps the team or Caleb any learn. No.
Does it help? Well, to you saying it wouldn't help Caleb, I have 2 parts to that. Wouldn't it help Caleb to actually just sit and watch and learn from the head coach being a defensive coordinator? What do you see here? What did he do wrong? What did Bagent do right? Blah, blah, blah. And the second part to that would be, wouldn't they be forced to try to get the running game going a little bit more instead of relying on the arm of Bagent, because they're trying to get more into a rhythm, and as they're not playing with their shiny new toy, so they're trying to just have a rhythm offense with the Tyson Bagent, and the quarterback gets to sit and learn from that. But it would at the very least force their hand, right? Or it wouldn't, right? Because then it would just be the same thing when 0-3 and everyone's clamoring for
I think Bagent would be
Williams,
running
right?
too. I think Bagent would be running too. I mean, it's. I get at what I think I get at what you're getting at. I think I see what you're getting at, but I think it's a fait accompli. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference, because you can do those things. You can run the ball. Just because Bagent's in there, you're not running. Are you running the ball now because Bagent's in there? I don't see where that's the case. Like,
you're not as reluctant to just go. Yeah, let's just see what Caleb can do, right?
No, I don't think they're doing that. I think they're trying to win the game, and I think that they're saying, "Hey, we can't. We're not being as effective with the offense, and let's try that." I think they would do the same thing with Bagent to some degree, because here's the thing with Bagent: you can also say, "Well, he knows the offense, or he's better, equipped at executing it. Let's try these other things." And if that's the case, you run the risk of saying, well, if he does have some success running the same type of, if it's the same plays, and then now it's like you're telling your quarterback, we don't think you're good enough, and then you start a different kind of controversy, because then you have nut jobs out there in cyberspace and in the media saying, I don't know, maybe Bagent is the answer, and all the Caleb suck. You got enough of people saying Caleb sucked after this week anyway, right? You put Bagent in there, now they're gonna be like, see, and this is, I had some people at the bowling alley saying, like, is this your king? Is this your king? I mean, they're quoting Black Panther to me out there. It's just, so you don't want to add, more to
Yombe.
you don't want to add more to any perceptive negative stuff that he might get if Caleb is paying attention to social media. So I think it's a bag of worms you don't want to put into your your barrel of apples right there.
Okay, I got one last question for you, and then we'll let you go. This is an off-topic question by Sports Chicago Style. That's Triple R, good friend of the show. Off topic: should D Rose have his number retired and hung in the rafters in the UC?
Yeah, I saw this earlier, and I responded to him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I agree. I think he should, and not because, I mean, it's a rare occasion. It's because it's such a unique situation. And if D Rose was from a different city, if he's from like LA or New York or whatever, I'd be like, I mean, he didn't play long enough. He's a South Side kid, man. He's a South Side kid. If you can see or whatever. And I think because of how he was shit on, and the organization kind of let some of that happen, not realizing that they got all this low management now, and like D Rose is the one saying, like, I'm my body's not right, so yeah, whatever. So, but yeah, I think because he's a Chicago kid, he's the youngest MVP that the league has ever had. He was that shooting star, proverbial shooting star. He epitomized that in a lot of ways, and I think he's so emblematic and representative of the Chicago spirit, because with all those injuries, and people don't realize it, people are, he's soft, like, F you, because if you ever had a serious injury, coming back is a bitch.
Especially when all you're doing is running.
Well, no, I'm just saying, coming back is difficult.
Right.
It takes a lot of heart to come back from any injury, and he came back from several. And so don't question the man's, fortitude or his heart, because if you, the person questioning it, had any kind of heart, you'd be where he's at. Because just to be an athlete at that level takes a certain amount of discipline, commitment that's unusual. Because if it wasn't unusual, we'd all be doing it. So I think he is emblematic. I'm not quite certain what I'm looking at. Is that a weather pattern or?
Let's see.
What's your phone?
Bruja is asking what the weather is like right now. I live near Atlanta.
Oh,
so
okay.
as you can see, I'm the blue dot. So that's it's supposed to be. Look at where it's still a Category 2 on land is what they're projecting. So that'll be a Category 1 by the time it hits us.
Fingers crossed that it keeps dwindling.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, I think D Rose is emblematic and representative of a lot of the Chicago spirit. And again, I've said this time and time again with a lot of people when it comes to basketball. This is a Bears town professionally through and through, without a doubt, unequivocally. But at its grassroots level, this is a basketball city. In the NBA, I still believe that the NBA, the majority of, let's say, from the last 25 years or so, the amount of Chicago and Chicagoland players in the NBA and how well we've been represented and how high a lot of these guys are drafted and played, ain't nothing like basketball in Chicago. I know New York's got their argument, the stuff with their point guards, but Chicago, look, man, you just Isaiah, Mark Aguirre, they went 1 and 2. You know, New York ain't got that. D Rose went number 1. If you got Jabari, Kendall Gill, who I've worked with, was a top 5 pick. You know, those guys from that flying the line 19 and so on and so forth. There's just so many Chicagoland players that have graced the basketball landscape, both men and women's basketball. So yeah, man, D Rose's number should be retired because he's representative of all that.
Good question, Triple R. That's a way to wrap that up.
Right.
Glynn, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, man.
Thank you guys for inviting me as always. I appreciate it, man.
We love having you on.
Glynn. Always a pleasure.
I think this is your 4th time on with us.
It's I don't count, man.
Like most repeat offender.
That's what my wife says to me too all the time.
That's the title of the thumbnail for tonight's show. Repeat offender.
That's my brother from another mother.
Glynn, seriously, love when you come on. I wish Foster was here. We all 3 of us, we all love hanging out with you. Really appreciate you taking your time tonight.
Thank you. I was going to say, give Foster's my best and tell him to stop doing his best Winnie the Pooh impersonation and sticking his hand in the honey jar. Yeah. Come on, man. It's out of the beehive. What are you doing, Foster?
Right.
You're not Pooh, man. Now you're talking like Eeyore. I mean, come on.
Glynn, tell us where I know you started, or you're on another podcast too. So tell us a little bit about that. And obviously, we can find you on NBC Sports Chicago.
Well, you won't find me NBC Sports Chicago much longer because they're going out of business, closing the doors, unfortunately.
Kicking you out.
Yeah,
Are they really?
Yeah. So Football Night in Chicago, Under Center podcast, Bulls, Blackhawks, White Sox. No longer on NBC Sports Chicago. They're going over to a new, developing a new station, I guess, a network, so to speak, Chicago Sports Network. I think you'll be able to get it actually over the air, so to speak. I don't think it's cable oriented. I'm not certain everything. I don't know what's going on there.
You're moving over there with them, though, right?
I'm not. Unfortunately, things were not extended in that direction. So I'm a free agent. So I'm out there trying to make it happen elsewhere. But to answer your question, I still do the same podcast with my partners, Ezra McCann and Brandon Williams on Easy Smoke and the GM podcast, which is not a visual one, but an audible one like this. But we still keep it real, and we tell you the truth. We don't hold anything back. Extremely candid. I had a real lace-filled expletive one not too long ago. So if you like your curse words, and chop on over there for this past episode. And other than that, just on other people's platforms, as you guys are so gracious enough to extend to me. And Twitter as well. I get Twitter X or whatever you want to call it these days. So it's Real Glynn Morgan at True Glynn Morgan.
I didn't know that. We got a job for you now. I can pay you $50 every 3 months.
How about those Bears?
Right. Yeah. How about those Bears?
That'll be half of what I make every 3 months. Give you $50. I'll give you, if I make 110, I'll give you 55. How about that?
You don't want to make Mrs. Morgan upset with that kind of talk.
Right.
As the Hulk would say, you wouldn't like her when she's angry.
Well, yeah. Nobody's wife, I imagine. Well, Glynn, I know there's got to be great things coming from you, man, because you are great at what you do. So I don't fear that we'll see you somewhere else, ESPN or NFL Network or something like that.
Well, hey, from your mouth to God's ears, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. I do. I truly appreciate it.
Keep us posted, though. Let us know where we're going to be able to find you. I mean, wherever you land, man, shoot us something and let us know where to find you before we can plug you.
Most definitely. I would definitely do that, guys. I will appreciate that. Appreciate, again, you guys sharing your platform with me, even when you know, it's the first time you DM me. I'm like, yeah, sure. If you be careful what you ask for. I talk a lot. So, but
we
guys,
got the best of you on the first one though.
well, guys, I got to roll. I got to pick up the wife. Again, I don't want to make her angry.
Right.
All right, Glenn. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you
We'd
guys.
love to have you on again. We'll see you soon.
Most definitely. Chat. Thank you, guys. Holla at you when I see you next.
Take care, bro.
All
Bear
right.
down.
Peace out.
Well, there you have it from Glenn Morgan, one of our favorite guests on this channel
Indeed.
of all time. Man, I didn't know that NBC was closing their doors. That's
Yeah. September 30th is the last day. I just saw that today, as a matter of fact.
wow. I'm trying to type the answer DVD right here. I'm just going to tell you we're supposed to get 70 to 100 mile an hour winds here by midnight. Yeah.
I started a question from well, not a question, but a statement from Triple R regarding Carter. Can you pull that up there, Carl? Yes. Let Carter go, but kept Davis. The issue I have.
Oh wait, who are we talking about? Carter and Davis? Tyree Carter and and
okay.
remember I called for getting rid of him in the beginning of the season. We're just going to end up cutting him in the middle of the season anyway. Who cares? We're going to pay him anyways. Go ahead.
The issue I have is we spent 2 years developing Carter and bringing this new system, and for some reason we cut him over Kramer and Murray. My thought was he has had a couple of starting times experience. I thought he played well enough to be on this team, seeing as though we have some type of investment within him. So when Davis doesn't add up or doesn't perform like he should, we could have plugged him in. And we missed that opportunity because I think they're hesitant to bring in Murray. Well, Kramer's just a center, but bring in Murray because Murray has no experience at all. I mean, he's been on the practice squad. Yeah, he performed well in preseason. I'm not denying that. But there's some value in having a guy on your roster who has had a couple of games starting experience and has been here. I would have preferred to where then we could have Pryor ready to play right tackle for Wright now that he's hurt. I mean, those are the things that I'm looking at and I'm saying to myself, like, come on, bro. I mean, what are we doing here? I that expression just irks me when I hear it. Poles got this. No, Poles don't got this because obviously we're not there yet. I'll say he got this when he's holding up that Super Bowl Lombardi trophy. Until then, I'm going to question what he does because I ain't saying he's horrible. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. He's not horrible, but in the same token, he's not this heaven send that, oh, he's doing everything right. No, they making some boneheaded decisions at times, and it's showing. And to answer the question earlier, as far as would I feel the same way if the Bears was 3-0? I'll say this. Let's say Bears got lucky and won that game against the Texans by the last possession. He miraculously throws a touchdown. But everything else in the game was the same. Let's say he somehow pulled out a feather out of his hat on his last drive against Indianapolis, and won that game. The rest of the game still shows the same points that we're making. Offensive line is a problem. Swift hasn't really performed. And then when you have your offensive line sets, you got the wide receivers so close to the line of scrimmage, to the tackles, that the cornerbacks are now considered part of in the box. So how can you run within a 9-man box? You can't do that. Spread the guys out a little bit, or the wide receivers further away. Therefore, you can have more crisper running lanes. You dictate to your offensive linemen, hey, if you guys, on this combination block, man, you go from your guy you block and then move up to the next level. You can't do that because they're splitting you. Okay, they're splitting. You can't do it. So guess what? We're not going to run that type of run concept. We're going to go zone. We're going to run the zone concept. And the whole line is moving in unison. Then we can incorporate Khalil Herbert to where now he can cut back. Those are the things you need to do as a coach and be able to realize and see, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, why are we not doing this? Why are we sitting there keep on trying to do the same thing that's not working? It's not working. End of rant.
You're right. It's not. I mean, the whole Nate Davis experiment has been a fucking joke. And, I was begging the question all off season. Do we just cut him? Do we just cut him because he's going to be a waste of a roster spot? We're going to have to pay that anyways. We might as well have someone else on the roster that can play that position. And here we sit with Nate Davis, injured again?
Groin.
What happened to Darnell Wright, by the way?
Back.
Is he out?
I know he didn't practice yesterday, I believe. I didn't hear about today.
Carl's saying he's not out. Okay, that's good. I don't know what's going on with the injury report. Does anybody know what's going on with the injury report? What's up, Raging Oracle?
Want to bring in Carl, see if he have the answers for you?
Yeah, come on in, Carl. Carl might know the injury report for this.
I will get it thrown up on the screen for you guys right now. Why is it so out of sync like that? Okay. There's a trending upwards in the Nate Davis situation, unfortunately, so he's probably going to be playing. I'm not sure, though. But as you can see, we've got Darnell Wright going from a DNP to limited with his back. The coaching staff cited that as something that maybe he shouldn't have played through in the game, but they commended him for doing so. Andrew Billings went from limited to do not play with a knee. And then Montez Sweat went from limited to full, thank God. So Montez Sweat hopefully won't have a designation. In short, aside from Keenan Allen, I'm not seeing too much positive. I mean, Kevin Byard popped up with a back. There are some injuries that the Bears are dealing with right now.
K2K saying I see a lot of rest days and not injuries.
Mercedes Lewis is rest, but I don't know. You could say Kevin Byard's a rest, right? But hopefully it's nothing serious.
Man, Glynn really got me down, man. I was all jacked up to try to be positive tonight and play some positive videos for you.
He was trying to be positive at least, but he's just...
But he was so right. It's like...
He was keeping it real, man. He was keeping it real.
I know. I'm just trying to be in La La Land right now.
Well, that's the thing I've been I was trying to warn you against, sir. I mean, the whole, it's not the quarterback. I mean, Caleb, that's why I have always said Caleb will be fine. As long as he doesn't develop these bad habits, he will be fine. It's just the whole everything else surrounding thing that's going on for me. It's like, bro, I mean, and that, again, that was my argument. Build up this team to where you have a lot of these other things addressed, but we never addressed it. I mean, you can't keep putting off, and Foles been here 3 years. You can't keep putting off taking care of the offensive line. Get this offensive line. I mean, Olin Kreutz has said it over and over, and I totally agree with him. Invest in your offensive line. Come on.
PJ, do you have something off the top of your head where it was like a very obvious, egregious miss regarding the offensive line? Before I let you answer, I just want to say the tackle situation, what I've come to find and what I've heard before I did anything was your tackles, if you want an elite tackle, it has to be in the first half of the first round. Because outside of that, you're going to have to get lucky with a left tackle in the 5th round, a Braxton Jones, a Charles Leno Jr., something like that. But if you look at the All-Pro team or just the Pro Bowlers, the tackles are the first half of the first round. And guess what? The Bears did that. They did invest the 9th overall pick, which they actually, were they the 8th and they went to the 9th? They actually picked up additional fodder. Okay. Either way, they picked up a little bit more and still took a tackle in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So again, I ask, was there an egregious miss that you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, this past draft, I mean, you had three top tackles that they were talking about. You're talking about the guy out of Penn State. You're talking about Joe Alt, and you're talking about that the guy from Washington, I believe.
Did you just mention Joe Alt? Sorry, I brain farted.
Yes.
Joe Alt was not available for the Bears. He was,
What
of
I'm saying
course,
is-
if they would have taken him first overall. But
I'm saying you had them that was available to you because we did have the number one overall pick. So how you go about trading down, you could have addressed it either at some point. The point I'm making is when you got the first and the ninth, you could have traded down. You could have got at some point one of those three guys at some point. But my thought was more of, okay, even if you don't get one in the first round, let's say Poles, because I'm not going to lie and say I can evaluate offensive tackles better than Poles. I'm not going to say that, but I will say this: you can give yourself more chances at a bite at the apple by trade. So if you would have traded down and let's say you would have picked up a couple of second round picks. Second round, did not the Chiefs pick up Kingsley, the last pick of the second round? So
Kingsley was recently benched, but I do understand your point.
So Kingsley was recently benched, so he could have at least competed with Braxton Jones. So is he better than Braxton Jones? Is Braxton Jones better than him? Don't know. But guess what? We could have competed. But what we did instead was we brought in a guy who had surgery and was injured and drafted him in the third round. And to date, he still hasn't played. Didn't play another preseason. I mean, so you're not addressing. I mean, that's just the offensive tackle position. There's other positions like the center position. We've been talking about a center for how many years about drafting? Talked about drafting one last year, now again this year, and still didn't happen. We bring in a 265-pound center. So there's things he could have done that, in my opinion, he missed on, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So you had some say. Go ahead.
I hear your point. I just also wanted to point out Mr. Aldo Gandia's great video that he made recently for Buffon 55. It encapsulated some, I guess, turndowns that Poles did regarding the offensive line, where the Bears took X player and Y and Z were selected after those players. The recency bias is always going to have that argument come out on top. Just want to drive home the nail that in the first draft, you can't really point a negative finger at Poles regarding selecting Gordon and Brisker. I mean, the Bears had, I think, the worst secondary in the NFL at the time that he took it over. And with those two draft picks, coupled with Tyreek Stevenson and paying Jalen Johnson, bammo, the Bears have arguably one of the best secondaries. So he does like to stick to his board. I think that we're frustrated with the Karan pick right now, but Karan in their draft board could have been a second-round pick. And for what they got him at, it sucks that he physically is not able to push with Braxton Jones right now, but maybe it's a different story next year.
What in the hell is Doug Kramer doing on the team?
That's a really good question.
If he's not someone that we can try to put in, that's not going to get train wrecked, like because that was his knock coming out of college, if I remember correctly, was that
He was light.
he got train wrecked a lot, and we're seeing Coleman Shelton get absolutely tossed around like a rag doll, run through like a train.
It sucks because the good plays that he has are never going to show up because sometimes it's hard to evaluate that if you don't know the intricacies, the ins and outs of the offensive line position, especially from the inside and not just tackle. But yeah, I am still holding out, and I've said this jokingly in chats, but I'm only half joking, I guess. I do think that Ryan Bates could be the savior. Ryan Bates was the player that they wanted. They've signed him twice at this point, and he's injured, and it sucks. I want to see what the offensive line looks like with a bit more experience in the scheme and a healthy Ryan Bates.
Only question I have for you regarding that is simply this: if Ryan Bates was truly the answer, why didn't he not beat out Kramer in training camp? Not Kramer, Shelton.
Shelton, I think he would have been dealing with injuries at that point. I mean, it's not that Shelton was a nobody. He was very familiar with that scheme. But again, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I could be wrong. Ryan Bates could be their desired right guard. He could be their desired left guard, and Tevin Jenkins could be going to right guard. I don't know. All I know is that I think that because of both the fact that Ryan Bates was signed to 2 contracts by the Bears and was acquired via draft capital, I think that the Bears feel strongly in him, and I want to see him play for the Bears and what that product looks like.
How did they sign him twice?
The Bears signed Ryan Bates to a free agent tender, whatever it was, tenure, and the Bills matched it.
Right.
Yep. That's all I'm referring to.
Oh, okay. And then they traded for him.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought you were trying to say they extended him or something. Okay. All right. So my thing is, here we are, going into our 4th game of the season, and to hear Eberflus again say we're trying to figure out or to play the best 5 and get the best 5 out there. During that whole month or so of preseason before Bates got hurt, he was alternating between center with Shelton. So you couldn't figure it out, Mr. Eberflus. You didn't figure it out. You bring the guy in, you trade for the guy, and he's still not starting because you don't have a competition. He doesn't clearly win because they're actually alternating every other day. That makes me suspicious of, well, he must not be the guy. He can't be the guy if he's alternating with Shelton, who's getting pushed around like a ragdoll. So what is this faith coming from in Ryan Bates? I mean, I thought, because when I thought I said, okay, they finally got the guy. Yeah, they tried to sign him. Now they finally traded for him. Okay, let's go.
Expected more.
Yeah, and he's alternating. And it's like he's even alternating with Nate Davis when Nate Davis is there. So I'm like, so what is he not showing us? I mean, obviously something's missing because he's not the clear winner at either position.
If you have 2 centers, you don't have a center.
You have 2 guards. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's just the way they are going about doing it is just like, again, bro, how about not using the offensive line as an afterthought? I mean, I seen Doug Van Dorn say I need to let the whole Justin Field thing go. It's not about letting the Justin Field things go. I'm saying the missed opportunity is the point I'm making. The missed opportunity of trying to improve the overall roster. Now we're in the middle of the season. It's going to be hard to find an offensive lineman now. You're not going to be able to find one on the street that's going to be worth more than something you already have.
I want to back that comment up, PJ. J2K said this exact same thing.
Armando Lara Jr. is a former offensive lineman. Head over to Hellas Hall, Armando.
Please.
Oh, man. You've got to be better than what we have. I mean, it's like what Glynn was saying. It's all hand in hand. If the offensive line can't block for the running game, then the running game doesn't work. And if the running game doesn't work, then you have to pass. And if you have to pass, then because the running game doesn't work, you're passing 55 times a game. Then you're sitting here bitching about passing 55 times a game. You want to try to find a silver lining in this somewhere like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think that, well, maybe they're just it's just a personnel thing and they just need to figure out what works with what personnel and all that shit. But maybe it's not. Maybe this is going to keep getting, because all they're going to do is, pin their ears back and blitz the quarterback all year long. That's what they do to rookie quarterbacks. And
can we go back to what Doug Van Dorn said when he addressed me on that, please?
PJ, let me read it for those listening on audio. PJ, did you listen to Glynn when he said that the problem with the O-line is likely mostly the coaching and the change in the offensive coordinator?
Yes, I did. But let me say this, and I'm going to say it slow. While I agree with Glynn on that part, fact is we have one first-round offensive lineman on our team. One. Let me say that one more time. One first-round offensive lineman. We have one second-round offensive lineman. Nate Davis was a third-rounder. I don't know, honestly, where these other guys, what round they was in. So regardless of changing schemes, changing coaches, if you don't have talent, now I'm not saying you can't find talent in the later rounds, but if you're building a whole offensive line, 10 players, and you only have one in the first round, we have 2 first round wide receivers, and they have less people in the wide receiver room than they do in the offensive line room. We have what? 1 or 2, 1 first round defensive line. Guys, the point is, yes, coaching and the scheme of the change of the offensive coordinator, yeah, that changed. I get that. But where is the talent? The talent is still not there if you're trying to rely on a 5th round guy from a small university who's light on his lower body, who's getting bull rushed every time 3 years later. And we're still not even trying to give him enough competition. And the competition we do bring for him is a guy who's hurt from Yale, another small school. Why are we not giving them more talent to work with? I mean, there's only so much you can do with a limited amount of talent. I mean, it just boggles my mind that, this is even debatable, that we got 1 first round offensive lineman and, it's because of the coaching. Heck, I can only coach a guy to do so much. If he don't have the talent, he don't have the talent. And let's not forget, Tevin Jenkins has really regressed.
Oh shit.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was on the band last year. Oh, we need to re-sign this guy. He is a Pro Bowl type offensive guard. This year, I'm looking at him like, bro, what?
And it's in a contract year. It's sad because I like Tevin Jenkins as a person. I want him and his family and his new child to be set up for the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, he's not playing like that's what he wants.
Raging says this scheme is terrible too, though. That kind of begs the question here, Raging. Are we trying to put square pegs in round holes? Should we get rid of for the meantime, because we don't have the personnel? Should we get away from the outside zone scheme?
That's not what we ran.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't feel like we're running a lot of outside zone. Like, a lot of people are pointing out how much shotgun there is. I don't know the numbers. I don't have anything in front of me. But it just feels like it's too much shotgun. And I understand that Caleb is used to that. They want him to become comfortable. And they try and get him under center. But, like, the 4th and goal play, you have your quarterback in shotgun. The quarterback in shotgun should be a threat at that point to either run or hand the ball off. He obviously was going to either hand the ball off or pitch it so they could hone in on Swift. And now we get into the DeAndre Swift conversation. He's terrible. If there's a lane to be had, he cuts it back, and he shies away from contact, and he's just missing any lanes that are open for him. I'm not a fan of Swift, and I don't know. It's really frustrating the more you talk about it. So.
I mean, on that specifically about that 4th and goal. So you have 2 tight ends lined up to your right. That's the short end of the field with the 2 tight ends on the right. They're heavy on your left. You decide to run an option play on your left where they're heavy at? I mean, is that coaching of the offensive line? Because if I'm an offensive lineman, yes, Connor Williams did block 2 guys in the tape I saw this week. I saw the tape too, where he was able to block 2 different guys. But the average offensive lineman cannot block 2 guys. So we got our offensive lineman on the left side trying to block more guys than them. And I'm like, how is that supposed to work? Now, honestly, at that point, now y'all call me crazy, but at that point, if I was Swift, I would have just threw the ball out of bounds. Give me a penalty if you want to for too many men down.
Thank you.
But guess what happens? We get the ball back if they take that penalty, right? Then we can kick the field goal.
The play.
Or if we throw the ball incomplete and they deny it, guess what? They get the ball at the 1 yard line, not the 14-yard line.
Yeah, the play was bad. He wasn't going to score a touchdown, and that sucks, and that's like a borderline fireable offense. Then the running back runs back 10 yards. So it was so damn frustrating, man.
So yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, when I seeing Tevin Jenkins and Coleman Shelton blocking the same guy, and neither one of them can get off their block to get up to the linebacker number 44, who blows up Shelton on another play. But the play I'm talking about, they can't get off of the defensive tackle to go block him. He makes the tackle in the hole. That's not no outside zone blocking scheme. That's not, because that's what we was doing last year, and that's what we was doing 2 years ago when Khalil Herbert was averaging 5+ yards a carry. We're not doing that now because we're not running that scheme. We're running the scheme, and oh my, it's horrible. Then I see Darnell Wright and Pryor blocking the same guy, and neither one of them can get off the block to go hit the linebacker. The linebacker then makes the tackle.
Do you guys want to watch some good plays to make yourself feel better?
Well, I just wanted to point it out for anyone who wasn't aware. Today, Shane Waldron called Khalil Herbert a goal line back.
God,
So there's that.
5 yards per carry, but you're a goal line back.
I know Roschon Johnson should be the goal line back. At least today, the reports are that Roschon Johnson is in for a heavy dose at running back against the Rams. So hopefully that will get the offense into some sort of they'll be able to get the ball rolling on the run game, because with Swift, that has not been the case. It has been terrible.
Can I just say this? And for those of you, I admit it, I relive in the past sometimes. David Montgomery, $6 million. DeAndre Swift, $8 million. Who would you rather have?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, and you guys can humble me on this. I was told recently that I was wrong on this by someone on Twitter. Wasn't it that David Montgomery was offered the exact same contract from both the Lions and the Bears, and Montgomery chose the Lions?
I think the Lions had more guaranteed money.
Okay, so that's what I was told. So I'm just flat out wrong. But I mean,
no, it was the same. I think it was 3 years, 18 million, six per year. I think that was the same, but their guarantee was more than what the Bears were.
So maybe it was just my hot head, but my gut was telling me that Montgomery chose the Lions over the Bears, and obviously he made the right choice. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want that to be a negative on Poles, because he did offer the contract. I don't know if Poles offered the contract first, and then he said, hey, Lions, this is what I'm being offered. What do you got? And they just said, oh, we'll give you more guarantee. I don't know the logistics of it, but.
Yeah. But I know Poles offered Swift more money than he offered David Montgomery.
Well, Swift was actually the very first free agent signing of this period. He was signed to this contract within 30 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't like the signing to begin with.
I didn't. I hated it. I thought it was bad. I mean, he had, I hate to sound like a prick, he only had 1,000 yards behind that legendary Eagles offensive line. Like, you see what Saquon Barkley is doing. They actually have a worse line now, because even though I know Cam Jurgens a hot topic, he was selected after Brisker, and they think that he's also now a Hall of Famer. He's not. Jason Kelsey's a Hall of Famer, so they have a worse offensive line now. But Saquon Barkley looks incredible on that football team, even better than he did at any point with the Giants.
And that's another thing. I mean, look at Pittsburgh. What did Pittsburgh do? Last year, they drafted Broderick Jones in the first round. This year, they drafted the tackle out of Washington in the first round. Second round, they drafted Zach Taylor. They brought in that Pro Bowl guard from Philadelphia, Isaac I can't pronounce his last name.
Semedo, something like that? That actually might be you said from Philadelphia?
Yes.
So that's another piece Philadelphia lost, but go on.
And then they also got James Daniels, who's a top 20 offensive lineman right now.
Yeah. I thought that James Daniels was worth the re-sign. I didn't like him leaving the Bears.
And he's only 27 years old.
Yeah, he came out exceptionally young.
Yeah,
the issue with him was always he was rotating between center and guard whenever Whitehair was playing well or hurt or whatnot. He's just straight up their left guard now, right?
Right guard.
Okay. I know who I'd rather have at right guard than Nate Davis.
Tevin Jenkins.
No, well, sure, but I'm referring to James Daniels.
Oh, I have him at my left guard. Absolutely, he'd be my left guard. Tevin would be my right guard. Him and right on the right side.
Tomato. Let's agree to agree. Yeah.
Oh,
This fourth down is the absolute worst goal line offensive line performance I have ever seen.
Roll it back to
Can
the
you roll it
snap.
in slow motion? Can you
Roll it
in
back to
slow
the
motion?
snap. Yeah, just look at the offensive lineman, please.
Look at the
All
defensive
5
lineman.
on the ground. All 5. Yeah, I don't know.
This is just
on the ground.
Everyone's taking a nap right here.
I might be able to get a better camera angle of that. Hold on.
I mean, what in the freaking hell happened? This is so pathetic.
That middle is wide open. That's all I'm saying. Look at that middle.
Yep.
Look at that middle. See the hole right there in the middle?
Yep.
Caleb, just run up the middle. Jeez. Just shoot it up the middle, bro.
It's got 5 guys barreling down on him because everyone's taking a nap.
And you cannot run. Is that a linebacker that gets the angle on him? And Swift's supposed to be our is that a defensive end? Are you serious? Oh, okay, never mind. All right. But he's supposed to be a
94,
fast
yeah.
And you can't get the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get the edge.
Yeah, it's a really serious question. Is Travis Homer the better player than Swift right now at the position that they're playing? Because Swift can't run between the tackles or is not smart enough to do it or whatever the case is. As a scat back, I've seen Homer do nothing worse than Swift at the very least.
At this point, just throw the ball out of bounds. I mean, come on, just throw it out there.
Yeah,
You out the pocket.
This play would have been great if they would have just put Kmet on the left and just, I don't know if you can see my
Preacher,
cursor.
yeah, because if you have them both on, I don't know.
Put Kmet
I
on the
remember
left.
us talking about Waldron
Evan-
having symmetry in his formations.
Yeah. So put him on the left, and then you fake this sweep to the left, and then Caleb just rolls to his right, and then Kmet's on the left, and he just rolls out to the right with him. And to me, I think he would have been wide open.
You do know that they had a tight end and a wide receiver on the left hand side already, right?
Oh my God, Gerald Everett's on the field too, and he's running a pattern.
That's what I'm telling you. He's actually going downstairs.
this
He's
is-
going downfield blocking. He's going downfield block. That's what I'm saying. Him and Moore on the left side is going downfield to block. Everett misses his block though.
Yeah. What else is new?
See that? Look at it. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just from I don't want it to be too cutesy, right? But on that play, if you just flipped it to where you had the 2 tight ends on the side with more space, you have DJ Moore on the short side, and he runs just like an over pattern to the back of the end zone. Instead of blocking, I don't know if that cornerback on the right side is going to end up tackling Swift. But if you have someone running at the back of the end zone there, it at least gives him the fail safe, right? If it's stupid. I guess you can't coach that, right? You can't say if it's not there, pass it. That doesn't make sense, but I don't know. I think that anything that we can come up here between us and the chat would be infinitely better than what we're seeing that was actually ran.
Breezing saying the play was dead. Just
Oh,
do
is that wrong?
lineman on the ground.
He said it was he said that was somebody saying that was Rome. Illinois Jones, and that was Rome instead of Moore. No, who is it? No, that is Everett.
It's not
isn't it?
DJ Moore. They looked too tall to be DJ Moore.
That's Everett. Number 14.
Well, Everett's in the slot on the left.
Yeah.
You
that's
have to
Everett.
go back. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
Everett
Everett right
right there.
there.
That's clear. But there's one other player to the left who's actually legitimately blocking. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Rome.
Oh, that's Rome. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. That's Rome. Yeah. Okay.
Whatever the case is, that was such a dog shit play. I mean, they literally convert. It was at the exact same range that they converted that 2-point conversion against the Titans. Just fucking run that play. And someone made a comment about how they can't score from inside the 5 while running the football. They literally, that's their only touchdown I remember was Khalil Herbert doing that. So just have Khalil Herbert run that play. You're getting too cute with Swift.
I tell you what, on that play right there, I would rather have had Khalil Herbert in the game. To me, at least, he would at least seen the hole in the middle and say, you know what, I'm not going wide. I'm just going to go up the middle. Because again, oh man,
So, just like how the college
Bozo show on the
quarterbacks,
O-line.
the quarterbacks in college are used to playing out of the shotgun.
Very good.
That's what the running backs are used to, is just being a little scat back. I mean, that's what DeAndre Swift was. I believe he went to Georgia. He was just a scat back, always in the next to the quarterback in shotgun, received a pass, whatever.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Carl. Hold on. What is Shelton doing? He literally blocked nobody and fell on the ground. Watch him. See that?
I know he's an asshole.
What
I mean, I guess it is a zone, right?
And he
Like
falls.
he gets to his space, but yeah, he's trying to cut block.
He tripped on himself right there.
This dude. Let me say this. I know I am not better than Shelton. I will never be better than Shelton.
I'm gonna disagree.
Watching him right here
Yeah, Tevin's fucking the
Make-
left tackle. Yeah,
make no hit
Yeah,
on
but-
it. He falls to the ground.
To what Raging Oracle's saying, look, you got Braxton Jones taking a nap.
76 cuts 70. He's on his
Oh wow.
his calf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happened. 76 falls down.
But you can see the offensive line
Big
is trying to
foul.
go to their left at a 45-degree angle, and the defensive lineman in front of Tevin Jenkins does the exact opposite, and it just totally fucks everything. And then as soon as he walks past Tevin and throws him into Braxton, he's immediately in front of the ball in between Caleb and Swift. And they out-schemed the Bears too, because the linebacker on the left side of the screen is just naked.
Yeah.
So it was a shit play with a shit concept ran by a shit team,
And look
personnel-wise
at
right now.
Pryor got his head on the wrong side of the guy too, where he's actually holding the guy.
You go from this frame to this frame. Watch Darnell. So in this frame, look at Darnell Wright, Coleman Shelton, and Braxton Jones. Or no, I should say Tevin Jenkins from frame to frame.
They're on their ass.
Oh my goodness.
And what got Shelton to fall? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What got Shelton to fall? Seemed
Nothing.
like he just fell on his own.
His sorry ass.
He just went, oh, I'm taking a nap. Oh my goodness.
Okay, man. All right.
You're
At
100%
least
right.
what we
You're
can
hoping
say
for
from
that
the
play.
and from the Colts game, I saw a lot of Cole Kmet, and yes, a lot of it was garbage time. But hopefully that page has been turned. Everett does not deserve the volume that he's getting. If you're gonna run however many plays, I would hope that anytime a tight end is on the field, 90% of those snaps should belong to Cole Kmet.
Laz.
Last.
Sniper.
Sniper got all three of them, Laz. Oh man, so true. Exactly what happened. Ah.
The guy from the grassy knolls got him.
I mean, it looked like at some point it's like somebody can fart too hard and knock one of our offensive linemen down. Man,
I want to put this on the screen. Yeah, Scottish, that's why I'm not the biggest fan of PFF, man. I mean, you have to look with your eyes. I do think that there's a little bit more than meets the eyes to Shelton. None of us here know the intricacies of playing interior offensive line in the NFL. But whatever good he might be doing, there's so much bad. There's a play where he gets literally launched like he's being fucking shot out of a cannon into DeAndre Swift. It's bad. The bad is really bad.
Maybe he's good at zone blocking. Yes, clearly that was not a zone. I mean, that was not it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We're winning plays and not necessarily.
yeah, but when you put Coleman Shelton on the move like that, that's when he gets run over by a linebacker.
Well, there's truth into that, but I'm just saying maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I mean,
He's looking for the linebacker and gets run over by him.
because I'm trying to help the guy. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, I'm just bewildered because again, I'm stuck on. I got Travis Homer, I got DeAndre Swift playing more than I got Khalil Herbert, who's literally averaged more than 5 yards a carry, and I got him sitting and calling him my goal line back.
It's asinine.
What?
Oh man.
He should
Okay.
be the change of pace back. He's a slasher, and yes, to PJ's point, like once the defense is worn down just a little bit, bring in Khalil for the change of pace. Then once they're like, fuck it, we have to bring in 9 men in the box to stop this bullshit. Boom, play action. Caleb already looks really good at play action, by the way, too. Like he seems fluid, and he had that amazing play which
He's
didn't
a running
count.
game to make it work.
Exactly, that's the problem. And I think Glenn Morgan made this point, like they just abandoned it. They said it's not working, fuck it, throw the ball 50 times. Which, cool, but you can't do that.
Man, I'm hoping he don't get hurt. I'm hoping he don't develop
Caleb?
bad habits. Yes, I'm hoping he doesn't get. I mean, putting
Caleb
him in
is
a
so
situation-
fantastic of eluding the bad, but the Daniil Hunter situation against the Texans is what really scared me.
Man,
He was getting
I-
hit in the fucking head.
Yeah. He was getting twisted up and shit too. Hit by 3 guys and one front and back side.
Man,
Carl, let's get to the picks from last week. So we can wrap this
Yeah,
up. here.
I threw this up on screen, guys. If you want to have some predictions for next week, I'd be happy to try and throw it together. Last week, Mr. Scottish Bear specifically requested that I put this on the screen because he was last week's big winner. He called the only winner of the game, the Colts. He was the only one to pick the Colts, and he actually was very close to the end result. He was literally 1 point off.
I'm watching you this week. There, Scottish Bear. See what you predict. I'm watching you, brother.
And actually, Scottish Bear could have had it perfect if they would have just stayed and kicked the extra point. But then they had to call the timeout with the bullshit and ended up trying to go for 2, which they did not get, to my understanding.
Yeah.
So-
Raging Oracle. I try to save everybody. I do try.
Look at all of us with our optimism on these scores. Only one
Yeah.
One
Facts.
Bears fan picked the Colts.
Who overrated the Bears for points? Everyone, right? Because it's in reverse. The Bears only scored 16. No one predicted that except like Scottish was the closest. No, Aldo was
No.
pretty close.
So was Illinois Jones.
Yeah, at the bottom, Illinois Jones, Eduardo, they were very close to what the Bears thought. Were you guys disheartened at all by the Bears' defensive performance?
Yes. Yes.
Running the
Yes.
running game,
Yes.
running defense.
How much worse if they didn't play against Rex Grossman? Like he had at least 2 like absolutely awful turnovers. Probably left at least 6 points on the board.
I mean, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's your current MVP candidate, I thought.
Rookie Josh Allen.
Sure, understandable. But
Harpoon Bakery. That's a new one. Thanks for joining us. Says, guys, the Colts were a good team. Give the Bears credit. They
see what happened last week.
They were a freaking tackling machine. They were annoying the hell out of me with their excellent tackling in this game.
Okay. When you say give the Bears credit, what are we giving the Bears credit for? Because
A close
clearly,
result. He thinks that the Colts were a good team.
if they would have had a competent quarterback, if I'm being honest, they would have had a lot more scores. But their quarterback was overthrowing guys and missing guys. So all we had to really worry about was the running game, and we couldn't stop that. So what are we giving them credit for? Not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest. I mean, because like I told you guys, I'm the type of coach that I seek perfection, even if I never find it. I'm seeking it. So our run defense was bad. Our pass rush was bad. Even our coverage was suspect. So what am I giving them credit for?
Do you think that it could have been really bad timing that a Bears offense who needs to establish the run played against a team that only got coached on how to stop the run after being destroyed the previous week?
But the amazing part for me, we led in time of possession by what, 10 minutes? So
Right,
it's like
those turnovers. Well, the Bears had 2 picks.
we have 10 minutes advantage of time of possession, and we still didn't rush the ball, and they ran down our throats.
So what are you guys thinking for this week? Let's do another
Well, we already got
Let
one
me
prediction.
just shout out Doug Van Dorn and Zach Sullivan. I've got your predictions
Okay.
starred, and if you guys want to continue to guess in the chat, give your predictions. I will stay on top of that for you guys.
I'm watching Scottish Bear this week. I want to see what he predicting. I'll probably go along with him. I'm telling you right now because, man, I didn't see that one coming last week. I didn't. Jeez. Now the
I did
Rams.
not either.
Am I correct? Rams got a couple of hurt. Is Cooper Kupp hurt?
I am a Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua fantasy owner, 2 separate leagues. They're both essentially on IR. They're not putting Cooper Cup on IR, but he's on IR.
Gotcha. Okay. So their wide receiving or their receiving game may be limited, safe to say?
Well, they just got
One
a
would
nice
think.
comeback against the 49ers. It felt
That's
like a
right.
road win for them, but it's in their stadium, but that's a different situation.
That's
They
also a division rival.
Right. But Stafford is still able to complete the deep ball to whoever the hell it is. Don't sleep on that.
Scottish Bear says 17-14 Rams. Armando Lara Jr. says 31-10 Rams.
you want me
JTK says 31-3 Bears.
Please bet responsibly. Good point, GTK.
If you are
JTK,
going to
what are you drinking tonight?
BetUS.
Yes, but bet responsibly.
Use the promo code bit.ly/Bears Country Podcast.
2 hours and 20 minutes in,
BetUS.
and you got the PSF promo. Good job, good job. Or the BetUS promo, sorry.
I don't know what's going on with PSF this year.
I don't know, man,
We
because
haven't
I
gotten games yet.
honestly have not watched a Rams game this year. So I don't know where I'm standing at on it right now.
They're really gritty, and I think it was even after, it was the first week against the Lions. They almost came back. They took them to overtime, and the Lions overpowered them. But in that first game, the Rams' offensive line got decimated too. I think they lost 3 starters.
Jeez. But beating San Francisco, man, that says a lot.
The
That's
thing
a
with
lot.
San Francisco is that they could be at their very worst. They don't have Christian McCaffrey. They don't have George Kittle. And Deebo Samuel was out that game as well. Now, Juwan Jennings put up a Hall of Fame Randy Moss game, but it still wasn't enough. And I don't know.
I can't go against what I said I always do anyway. I said I always pick the Bears when it comes down to it. So
Well, PJ, if you want, we could pull up the record prediction that you did. I'll see if I can find it. And if you picked the Bears to lose that game, I mean, you wouldn't be doing yourself a disservice, right?
well, I just know I'm gonna always pick Bears every week though. So I'm saying, let me say this.
PJ, your updated record prediction, you did have the Bears winning, as did everyone. I actually had them as a loss. Okay.
All right, let me say we're at home, right?
Yeah. Fun fact, PJ. Fun fact, I don't know if this is going to change your prediction. Adam Mason will be at the game in person in the 100 section.
Wow.
Oh man, okay.
He may be able to give some tips for the Bears players. He might be able to bring up some spreadsheets. I'm being an asshole. I'm being an asshole, Adam. I'm sorry.
There's a sheep down there at him. Look at my sheep. I'm sorry, Keenan Allen
Want to
will
go
be
last?
back.
He is not confirmed to be back, but he is trending upward. He was limited with that heel injury the last 2 days, but there's optimism.
What about this? Raging Oracle keeps asking about Tyreek Stevenson. Is he injured?
Tyreek Stevenson was not on the injury report that was released today, so I don't know what's going on there.
All right, I'll go last because I'm going to really
Shorty?
figure this one out.
Shorty, are you going to say 76-0 Bears, or what are you going to say?
77-0.
Does
I'm
Caleb put himself into the Hall of Fame with this singular game?
not entirely.
Oh my God!
Stop the presses. Stop the presses.
Oh my God!
Well, you guys might have to go another 2 hours with Foster because I got to go to bed here soon. Now that Foster's coming in, we're trying to end this shit.
Back from the dead, Foster.
I'm all Benadryl drugged up and ready to go back to sleep. Shut up, PJ. The worst part is not that my arm ballooned up to like 3 times its fucking size but I hurt my back running away from the nest of fucking hornets.
Why were you even near a... We're trying to figure out how the hell you were even near a hornet's nest.
Oh, shit, if I gotta tell this whole fucking thing.
Foster, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt backstage. Those things can sneak up on you. I got bit, or stung rather, while I was mowing the lawn. Their nest was in behind a fence post. Like, they can sneak up on you, man.
Well, my problem is I've been stung about 200 times over the last 45 years. You hang out on roofs and you stick your hands in places.
You didn't know bee stings in the first 700?
Nope. Those are giant fucking wasps. That's why I can take the little ones now.
Raging Oracle says, I'm waiting for booty cheeks to cross Foster's screen.
Show us the arm. Show us the arm.
Oh, man. It doesn't look as bad now. I mean, it still don't look good.
Oh, my God, Foster. Scottish Bear.
Oh, my God.
You see
Scottish
it, right?
Bear.
Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
But I'm
Stop, you're covering up your pussy-stained mustache.
I was listening to what... I can't get this right. I'm fucking in the car, man.
Hey, Foster,
You're fucking in the car?
I want you to know, bro.
No.
I truly love you, bro. I truly love you, man.
I love
you. Are the
I love
man,
you too, Beach.
bro.
One of a
You
kind,
are the
brother.
man, bro. Foster, you give us so much material to work with, bro. I'm telling you, man, you are the man.
Well,
man.
One of my friends, one of my longest time friends, I've known this guy since 1971, and he was here today, and he goes, dude, there's always something going on fucked up in your life, always, and I've known you a long, long time. So he wasn't kidding. But no, the worst part is I hurt I got scared with the arm, dude, because I never used to have reactions. Now I've been stung like 4 or 5 times, and this was not 3 stings, but 5. Found all the marks. Jeez. So that's why I reacted so badly, because it was bad, man. It might have been 3 wasps with 5 stings. I was screaming. I was running away screaming, man. I'm not kidding. You can ask my neighbors. My neighbor freaked out, man. He ran in the house going, oh.
Wait, how did it happen?
I was at my parents' house doing some stuff, and the neighbor came out, and he's a deaf mute, and there's a chain link fence, and they got a big concrete patio, and there's some thick wood boards around it. Well, there was a nest under the boards, under the concrete, and I walked up to that area and leaned on the fence, and I must have kicked the board, and I got 2 words out of my mouth to this dude. And I was just talking. I got to stand close because he's deaf, so he reads your lips really good. And the next thing I was screaming because I was like, ow, ow! So, at least I'm here, man.
Is that true, Foster? Is that true? Some bad blue chewing honey packs?
That is not true, man.
Foster was relying on a deaf mute to hear it.
You okay, man? You good now? I need a show just I need a show just to give you what I go through every fucking day, man. I should have this thing running 24/7. This is kind of the norm shit that happens to me.
One in the chat, if you guys want to foster 24/7 channel.
There you go, man.
Your firearms are useless against them.
Uh-oh. Looks like I got the wind coming, man, because my power just flickered really bad.
Oh man.
Oh, Dan, I hope you're okay, brother.
Yeah.
I got if you got problems down there, I probably got the easier end of the deal. Hopefully not.
Sure.
But you guys are talking about, yeah. Oh shit. That's you?
I'm the blue dot, yeah. So we'll see what happens here. It's about now when we were expecting like 70 to 100-mile-an-hour winds here. Can you see my power flickering? You guys see that? You guys see my power flickering? Or is
No,
that
I
just
wasn't
me?
paying attention. I'm sorry.
I can't tell. I usually see it in your flag when if it happens. Because there's like flat dots in the flag.
Atmos, we love it when the show goes sideways too, man. That's what makes this show so.
Oh man, I wish I could have been there with Glenn. I heard a bunch of it because I.
Hey, don't worry. None of us got to speak.
I heard a bunch of it, so I know parts of it.
Glenn talked literally
like 7 minutes of Glenn to start, and then it was a good show.
No, it was a great show. He
absolutely. Absolutely.
He pounded me into submission with his freaking just overwhelming correctness on the state of the team.
From the front or the back?
I heard the part where after he left, where you guys everybody's kind of down. So I figured, oh, reality set in because this is what it is, right?
Yeah,
that's okay. I'll say this: Caleb's gonna be fine. A lot of this shit's coaching, man. Tevin Jenkins said one sentence in a press conference that caught my fucking total attention. We're just executing. So they're doing what they're told, and apparently what they're told is not good enough. So we know it's a problem with coaching again, still, repeatedly. But I wanted to touch on the Rams because they got 4 wide receivers, man, that you don't even know their names.
I'm gonna stop you right now. I gotta get going because there's some weather coming here, and I don't want to just be caught with my dick in my hand and like not be able to say goodbye. So I'm gonna jump out right now. Let you guys wrap up the show. I was gonna predict a loss, but we can't lose this game. It's gonna be awful if we do. So I'm gonna go Bears 21, Rams 18, and I'm gonna bid you adieu with that because I got some serious wind and shit coming here now, and I don't want to
get in your basement.
Not be able to just all of a sudden leave, and I can't come back because my power's out. So I'll see you guys. You guys, great show, guys.
Thank you all.
I don't have a fucking basement. I'm in a ranch. I have
a ranch on a slab.
Yeah.
Okay, is your phone fully charged? Is your phone fully charged, Dan?
My phone is fully charged. I have my generator ready.
All right.
But
okay.
Yeah.
I
wanted to end the show by now since you were hopping in and making it fun again. It's gonna go another hour. I can't do that. So guys, see you later. Go Bears. We're gonna win this weekend, guys. I tried to send the positive vibes with the video tonight, but fucking Glenn was he was too convincing in his correctness. So you guys have fun. I'll see you guys next Thursday.
Take it easy, Dan.
Bears are gonna win.
Yeah, you call me tomorrow.
Stay safe, Danny.
Yeah, stay safe.
Okay.
No. Call me tomorrow.
Stay safe.
I will.
Okay.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I'll be sending him a text.
Yeah.
In an hour or two. After my next nap, because I keep getting loaded up with Benadryl, man. I took a bunch of it to get the shit down, and then they give you more. So, but anyways, I just wanted to touch base with the Rams. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if you had a score prediction. I have almost gotten everyone, to my understanding, as far as the predictions.
Okay.
I've got Antmis, I've got Eduardo Isaac, I've got Zach Sullivan, Doug Van Dorn, Scottish, Armando, J2K, Raging Oracle, and Illinois Jones. So if you have not heard your name and you have a score prediction, please feel free to let me know in the chat.
Who you
Put it
got,
out
Foster?
there. I'm going to say 24-23 Bears
Hmm.
because I'm a dumbass. Because they've got really good running back. They've got a couple good tight ends. They've got 4 wide receivers that you might recognize them. Who is it? Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, I think is his name. I can't remember the last guy because he's kind of new. But ever since they've had Cup go, Nakua's been out since the game 1. And then Cup went out. These guys have been filling in pretty admirably. That's kind of what helped them win the game. And it wasn't like just one receiver. I'd say it was Tutu Atwell was a lot. He's so underrated. He's the guy that stepped in last year, and everybody snagged him in fantasy when Cooper Cup went down. If you remember, Carl. So they are a dangerous team, and like you said, I know the 49ers were understaffed. But how much of that defense was understaffed that was facing the Rams offense that was way understaffed because they're missing 4 of their best players, and they still did that. I'm talking about the Rams. Going into the season, I had
their very, very good wide receivers, and then I thought they actually had 3 injuries on their offensive line. That information's off of game 1, so I don't know what game 4 is looking like for them. But
I thought these guys were out last week and they're out this week. Double check somebody, maybe not. If not, it makes it even worse because now they've got full strength at offensive line. We need our defense. We need every advantage we can get.
What's up, Samo?
So, and I didn't mean to keep you guys late. I just was listening and I'm kind of groggy.
Are you good, man? You know that? You good? You all good with us?
I know the chat appreciates you stopping by, Foster, and so do I.
Hey, I appreciate the comic relief, brother. I really appreciate the comic relief. As your camera freezes up on you, I appreciate your comic relief.
Oh, no. Oh, he's back. We're good. We're good.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I'm on a phone, so.
Yeah, it froze up on you, but I want to say I appreciate your comic relief, but seriously, I'm glad you're okay with the bee sting, but word to the wise, never again depend on a deaf mute to hear you when you're screaming for help. Just want to put it out there. Just want to put it out there, bro.
I'm going to show him this and explain it to him. I'll even have to write it down if I have to, because he'll laugh his ass off. The guy's funny, man. Oh, that's hilarious, Peach.
Oh, that's hilarious when you said it, bro.
So, I don't know. I shouldn't even have tapped in, but I just was like listening to you guys. I'm like, all right, I got to fucking.
So I'm looking at the Rams transaction chart. I'm looking at the Rams transaction chart right now.
Yeah.
It looks like after the first game, Steve Avila and Joe Noteboom, who I don't know if they're tackles or guards or centers, they were placed on injured reserve, so they're not going to be eligible to play against the Bears, I don't think. There was a player terminated on their practice squad. And then Jonah Jackson, I've heard that name before. He was placed on injured reserve going into last week, 9/18.
Jonah Jackson.
Jonah Jackson feels like a tackle. I don't know.
Tackle, I thought. Because I swore they just, prior to the 49ers game, they lost both their starting tackles.
I've heard of
Avila was a guy I wanted the Bears to draft.
Yeah,
going back to that draft.
Name. I don't know anything
2 years
about
ago.
Joe
I don't remember.
And Jonah Jackson. Those are the 3 names for the Rams who are offensive linemen that are on injured reserve.
Jonah Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, he came from Cincinnati. If he's the right guy,
I believe you.
I think you're correct.
Avila came from CCU. When I say Cincinnati, I mean Cincinnati Bengals. I thought he was a starting guard there.
That's part of their problem this year.
Jackson is a guard. Yeah. So yeah, man.
So it looks like right now their depth chart, I don't know when this was last updated. It doesn't tell me. But according to this Rams website, your left tackle's Alaric Jackson. Your left guard is Logan Bruss. Your center's Bo Limmer. Your right guard is Kevin Dotson, who I believe that's a good player. And your right tackle is Rob Havenstein, who I believe he's also okay. But
yeah. All right, my prediction. 2017 Bears. 2017 Bears.
Seems like
And
I'm
Samuel.
the only one who hasn't given a record prediction.
I got to get with you, Samuel. I got to send you a text or something, let you know how my boy doing in college. I got to send you a text, let you know.
Heck yeah. Yeah, chat, if you guys have a record prediction, score prediction for the game, and you haven't heard your name earlier, please drop it in chat. I predicted the Rams to win this game, and honestly, I'm just going to stick to that because I don't like picking the Bears anymore right now. My fantasy strategy is to start whoever's going against the Bears in fantasy, so I picked up the Rams defense. I'm starting them in fantasy. I think it's going to be a really grimy, low-scoring game, though. Honestly, I'm going to say like 13-10 Rams.
What do you say, 2017?
13-10 for the Rams. I think it's going to be a very grimy, low-scoring, nasty game.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just have so much respect for McVay. He's such a great head coach, in my opinion, and I really enjoy
Stafford's a Bear killer too, though.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter he's missing Cooper Kupp,
Yeah.
Puka Nacua. Like, with those guys, that's a really scary task. But without them, he's still a very good quarterback, and he's elevating players like Tutu Atwell. They're making clutch plays, so I don't know. I think it starts with McVay. We all know how we feel about the Bears coaching staff compared to anyone decent. But McVay, for me, tippity top.
Do we have J2K's record prediction?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he said 31-3 Bears. I don't know if that was legitimate or not, but
really? Wow.
yeah, he said he was the one who said please bet responsibly.
That's right. Jeez.
Cool.
Well,
And
if
what was,
that's Sam,
What was
Samuel,
Scottish
if
Bears
that's
again?
Scottish Bears said that it would be 17-14 Rams.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sam, that is going to be the key to the game is can a lesser head coach with better talent on defense outmaneuver a better head coach, in my opinion, offensive caller with lesser talent due to injury. So that's going to be the fun chess match.
I switched connections here, so hopefully this is better. I want to ask you guys a question because I would have asked Glynn and everybody this. Do you remember the 4th and 4? They were punting and a penalty was called on Komet. No?
So they called number 85. They called number 85,
Okay.
but it was not on Komet because he wasn't even on the field.
It was 92. Hardy.
That's what.
Yes.
Okay. So after they came off the field and then the flag came, whatever, and the defense came on the field and they couldn't play for 5 plays in a row, and then there was a touchdown. Didn't that seem like that's what happened? Because that's what I saw.
What are you saying? Like the coaching philosophy is not to allow them to play more than 5 in a row?
No, it was like they had to run back out there because the defense was already coming off the field when they announced it. So the defense runs back out there. And then if you remember, it was 5 or 6 plays and they had a touchdown. And they couldn't cover anybody. They couldn't get a pass rush on after they just held them.
Are you referring to like the drive where they had the penalty that was called on Komet, which wasn't Komet?
Yes.
So they did stop him. They stopped him and forced him to punt. So what you're talking about is probably right. It's essentially like a sudden change, and they just didn't rise to the occasion.
But why does that? I mean, they look so different. Those 5-6 plays did.
Naj, who won against USC this weekend? Do you remember?
And then
Naj?
what if you don't? What if you don't have that Hardy penalty? Because then the game's more like 16-14, or the Bears maybe get a field goal again or something. That I don't know. That penalty just pissed me off because I'm like, you blew. When that happened, I said, "Yep, this game's done. There's no way we're winning." I said it. I do that shit all the time where I just bitch because it changed. I don't know.
Well, you know,
the Bears don't feel very resilient right now, and maybe no team with a rookie quarterback is like resilient like that, like someone with a Matt Stafford would be.
I would disagree with that.
Go ahead.
I'll disagree with the statement of no team with a rookie quarterback because I think Washington feels resilient right now.
Perfect. Thank you, PJ. I'm glad I set you up for this. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Now, I will say that I think the Bears' biggest problem is they have no offensive identity. So therefore, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of like playing without no sense of expectancy, because there's no sense of, I know that if I need 1 yard, I can go to this play right here. I know I'm confident in this run game, or I'm confident in this passing game. They don't have none of that. So therefore, they have no identity.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. They do not have an identity. I wonder if they truly want to stick to the run, or if they're just conceding to the fact that they should be a pass-first offense. But I hate the idea of the Bears being a pass-first offense outside in Chicago weather. So,
Yeah, it's not a good.
yeah, Sam. No,
That's
Sam,
why Halas never did it.
no bread
Why
and butter.
George Halas never did it to begin with.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this the other day, as a matter of fact. I think, we all want this 300-yard passer on a regular basis. I don't think the
I
Bears
don't care about that.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think the Bears are built like that. I think the Bears city, the Bears culture is good defense, good running game, and a quarterback who is clutch. That's what we're really looking for. And if we start leaning to where we got a quarterback passing the ball 52 times a game, that's not who the Bears culture is. It's just not. I don't think it would ever be. I just think, given our culture as a city, as where we are, the culture is more of tough defense, good running game, and then the cream on top, a quarterback who's stout, strong, clutch, those type of things. I'm not saying Caleb can't be that guy. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, wanting him to be like a Patrick Mahomes, I don't think that's the answer for us, because Patrick
You
Mahomes
kind of
doesn't have
described the
1,000 yards.
Steelers.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, overall, because Steelers something like that too. I mean, their culture, the Browns culture, like that. But that's what I mean by the culture. The Kansas City, they can get away with that type of guy in Mahomes. I don't think that would fly here. I just don't think it'll fly here.
I was laughing at Walt. Walt says, "Oh
Yeah.
dear, what did I walk into?"
Perfect comment. Perfect comment.
That's
Brilliant,
just my
Walt.
take, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Hope you
Jaden
guys are well,
Daniels.
Walt.
I don't know. What I wanted to say was that Jaden Daniels had a very good game against a very bad Cincinnati team right now. They're playing terrible. And on that long bomb touchdown that he completed to Terry McLaurin that everyone's talking about, that was against 10 players, I believe. So
Yeah.
I think that
it
this
was.
perfect.
They were missing it.
I think that this picture perfectly sums it up. I don't know when these players were drafted, but the tweet is from October 12th, 2012, that is. So
Well-
to say that Caleb Williams is a bust, should have taken Jaden Daniels, come on, man.
No.
We're 3 games into their very first season in the NFL.
There's no way. Caleb Williams, unless we fuck him up, will be fine. I've seen enough out of the guy. Light years ahead of where Justin was when he stepped on the field 3 years ago for the
It just
I ain't going
feels,
that far.
it feels different, Foster. Watching him play quarterback feels different.
You're right, Keej. Maybe not light years, but he's definitely ahead of where Fields was. And maybe not even his rookie year. I'm going to take his second and third year, but again, now was that all the Bears' fault? Because they gave him nothing? There's too many things you can go into.
There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a difference there. Yeah.
But it's the freaking coaching, man. Waldron ain't what we thought he was,
It's the culture
or led to
overall.
believe.
Neither is Kubiak.
The more
though.
you dig,
It's
just ain't what it was, man.
It's just the culture. I mean, I think, again, once again, Foster, you wasn't here. I said this earlier. Once again, we're in the 4th game of the season, and we still haven't got certain things worked out yet that we should have got worked out in the preseason. That's where we're at once again.
This is the Bears preseason. I say that jokingly.
Pete, you tell me this. You tell me the same words like every freaking year.
It's just like,
It's the third or fourth game, and we haven't got it worked out yet. The shit that we should have been doing in preseason, we didn't. Sorry.
and
That's
that's what I'm
about
saying.
the story.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like we doing the same thing. So we ought to recognize. That's what I say. Recognize who you are as a coach. Like, look, we got this defense that we invested heavily in. We even invested in this running game by just paying Swift. What did we pay him? I don't care if I don't start him no more. I'm still going to invest in my running game because that's the secret. Because by me running the ball, teams are going to open up some lanes for Caleb to throw the ball. So I don't need Caleb throwing the ball 50 times a game. I'd be happy with him throwing it 30 times a game. Man, giving some play actions, and man, we can go from there. But we act like we can't identify who we are. It's maddening to me. Be who you are. Be that run game that you want to be. Be that strong defensive game. Let's not pretend like that's not who we are, and we got to be a guy who throws the ball 52 times a game. No.
Yeah. Well, these guys didn't have the line they thought or whatever, because you can't use Swift the same way. He's not behind that great freaking line in Philadelphia.
You missed this part
No,
too.
you can't even compare them. And I think I heard something. I caught something earlier, Carl. I think you were talking about the center in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Kelsey's replacement. Did you see what Kelsey said about him?
Well, Kelsey, I don't know if you know this, Jason Kelsey is a fucking phenomenal human. So they could have drafted Sam Mustipher, and he would have said the exact same thing, in my opinion. But he is a smart guy, and I do take what he says. I believe him.
And then if you watch some of the film on it, because Peach, I'm like you, dude. I'm gonna watch some of the Pittsburgh stuff. I got to see what's going on, dude.
And they play the Colts this week.
Yeah, I know. And I do fantasy, Carl, too. So I've got players. Matter of fact, I stay away from the Bears at all. I don't have one Bears player on my team purposely.
Smart.
And I've got tons of AFC players just for that reason, man. Because I want all the points, and there's more. It seems like there's more points in the AFC. So, I follow the players, man, and I don't know who I got. I got Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I lost to him this week. It was Adam Mason had him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just picked up Calvin Austin for nothing. So, and I don't even know if I'm going to play him, but I had him I'm going too far because all these guys that are great this year, I had them last year when they weren't playing. Because I only do a guillotine league, Carl. There's 18 guys.
Jeez.
So it's hard to do the draft, but last year I had Khalil Shakur and who's the running back from the Raiders, and Isaiah Likely
White.
and the one wide receiver on the Chargers. Because I was the 17th pick in the draft, so I ended up getting a bunch of these guys, and I'm like, these guys are going to be good. I hope it's not, and it wasn't, because I was out early last year because I had all guys that are good this year. I swear to God, I had 6 guys that I was like, and I wish I would have had them this year now that they're playing, but I didn't even get any of those guys. Maybe one. So, but
PJ,
I just
want to
keep
ask
an
you a
eye on
question.
it. Go ahead.
Well, PJ, I don't know if you saw Mike Tomlin, who I think he's a great coach. I think you feel the same way. Mike Tomlin was asked if he's going to name Justin Fields the starter just outright because of what's going on with that team, and regardless of what happens with Russell Wilson, healthy or not, if he would name Fields as the starter. And Tomlin's response, almost word for word, was, no, I don't have to. So I don't know how you feel about that, and if you think that it's just posturing, and if you think that they're trying to increase the trade value of either player.
No, let me answer that, because I actually thought about this the other day. One, what does it benefit him as an organization to name a starter? 0. So by naming a starter, you alienate the other player, for one. Russell Wilson, he's making $1 million a year. You're not going to find a better backup quarterback for $1 million a year. So why would I trade
Tyson Bagent? I'm kidding.
I'm just saying. What? So what? I mean, given the experience he has and how he can nurture Justin, why would I want to give that up? Dang, that's so. No, you don't do that. Uh, I just think that yeah, the way he handles that is smart because it also provides an incentive for Justin. Hey, bro, don't get too comfortable. Keep on going out there every week and prove yourself. Don't get comfortable out of here. Prove yourself every week. By doing those, I mean, by having that, you're not getting him relaxed, and you're not getting him to where he's letting his guards down. Keep that edge about him because that's what Tom Brady had. That edge of, hey, I was taken in the 6th round, 199 overall. I have to prove myself constantly. And some players need that edge. They need that edge to perform better. So, yeah, I'm not mad at his strategy for that. But I will say this, because I actually thought about this, and I actually thought about you, Carl, when I was thinking about this. I think a lot of the disconnect or the civil war between fans comes to what type of quarterback you're looking for. To me, I'm looking for that quarterback, like I said, I'm not looking for a quarterback to win me a game having to throw for 350 yards or so. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's not the type of quarterback I want, because I have always played and coached on strong defensive teams. So my thought has always been, give me a strong defense. I want my running back to be top 5 in rushing. All I need my quarterback to do is manage the game, throw for about 250 yards, don't turn the ball over. Those are the types of things I'm looking at in my quarterback. I don't need Patrick Mahomes. Troy Aikman is fine with me. He's in the Hall of Fame. He got Super Bowl rings, and he never threw. I don't think he has ever thrown for over 4,000 yards. So that's my whole point. It's like, I don't need that guy. I'm not faulting those of you who want that guy. If that's your preference, that's your preference. My preference is not that type of guy. So therefore, that's why I'm not looking for that type of guy. And that's why I was content with the progression I was seeing out of the one we had. Hopefully that makes things clearer for you guys, because again, I'm not bashing Caleb. I'm not. Truly not. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean, the only counterpoint that I wanted to say, and I know that this was something that Glenn Morgan had brought up. I can't remember his exact point, but he essentially said something similar to what you said, PJ. But I'm looking at the list of the most recent Super Bowls. I mean, each team has either had Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, or a first overall selected quarterback on their team. I became a fan of the Bears because my family was fans, but I really enjoyed how they not only played defense well, but they used defense to try and win games and actually legitimately score points themselves. A very young me watching them in 05, 06. That was fucking awesome. That defense was awesome.
Yep.
You guys were lucky enough to watch the 85 team. So I think if I got that, I would be how I feel on crack. I would want them to build through the draft, defense, special teams, run the ball, and have an opportunistic, good, clutch quarterback. But you look at Patrick Mahomes. He took a team with a terrible offensive line against the Bucs and barely lost because the Bucs had a great game plan and had Tom Brady. Then last year, you won the Super Bowl with arguably the worst supporting cast at wide receiver I've seen in a long time. Now, Kelsey had a great year. That was the last, before he fell off the cliff. The modern NFL needs a really good quarterback, man. So I think that Justin Fields has it in him. I think he was an excellent runner of the football. But Caleb Williams, as Foster said, he's at the level at the very least of Justin Fields is a passer of the quarterback of the ball already. I don't know, man. I think that the Bears got it right selecting Caleb Williams. You need that leader, that fantastic quarterback to be in the conversation to get to and win Super Bowls. And I don't know if the Bears could have done it going any other route. But they obviously haven't won anything, so I don't want to talk like they've won the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying.
Is Seattle modern enough, their championship?
Okay, so Seattle had a fantastic defense. The Legion of Boom, literally, they named themselves. They were fantastic. Mm-hmm. And their defense was good enough to literally defeat the greatest offense that we've seen potentially ever. That Broncos offense that they shut down in the Giants Stadium was a fantastic offense.
Okay.
But Russell Wilson is a very good quarterback too. He's obviously fallen off recently, and he looks even worse getting all that draft capital traded to the Broncos, getting a huge contract, and falling flat on his fucking face. That was a debacle. But Seattle Russell Wilson was in Hall of Fame conversation. The Bears had a proposed trade for Russell Wilson. That's how damn good he was.
I'm glad he didn't make it. So the point I'm trying to make
I am too.
Me too, because it was too late to do that.
J.J. McCandoff. Oh, no.
The defense that the Seattle Seahawks had is
what's your ring finger?
Is what I'm talking about. And I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles when they won.
When they beat Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I want to see if it shows me like the box score for that, because I don't know about you. I thought that Nick Foles had a iconic game, like a folklore game.
He wasn't that type of quarterback that was. I mean, because actually Carson Wentz was in the MVP.
That was the year that I don't know if Carson Wentz was first overall, but Carson Wentz was on the MVP like trajectory, and then he tore his ACL against the Rams.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm more of a fan of, that type of build up for a team. I think you build this defense to where I'm not depending on one player. I'm building on my whole defense. I got a strong run game. Then I can have a quarterback who's okay, who's good. I don't need a quarterback who's great. And Patrick Mahomes wasn't great when he first started off either. He still had to sit a year. Then, he slowly worked up to where he is now, because yes, now he is the best quarterback in the league. But he wasn't that all the time. I mean, even in his first Super Bowl win, he wasn't great, because he had, Tyreek Hill, who nobody could catch. He had Travis Kelce. And so he had other weapons. So the point again I'm making is, I'm not so fixated on the quarterback position. I'm more fixated on, give me a strong running game. And notice I ain't saying a particular running back. I'm just saying, give me a good, strong running game. I don't care. We got to do running back by committee, but give me a strong running game to where we're top 5 in rushing in the league. Give me a stout defense. And again, I'm not saying we got to have the number 1 sack leader on our team, but a strong defense. So I'm not focusing on the one player. And my thing is, give me a strong defense, good running big game, and give me a quarterback who's not going to mess it up.
Yeah. In concept, on paper, I fully agree with you. That would be incredible, and I would love for that to have happened, because the Bears, what they did to acquire Fields and what has happened afterwards with simply giving him away for hopefully a 4th-round pick, that was not a good return on your assets, and it really would have set this team back even further if they weren't able to seduce the Panthers into the worst trade ever. So there was another point I wanted to make, and I'm totally whiffing on this right now.
Before you make the other point, when you say that's the worst trade ever, so if they would have traded, let's say they made that trade, and the Panthers would have taken C.J. Stroud, and he had the year that he had, would it still be the worst trade?
Absolutely not. That's why it's the worst, because when you think of the quarterback position, it is the most important position in football, in my opinion. So the Panthers, now with that exact player in their second year, 19, 20 games into Bryce Young's career, he's been benched. So even if he was average, even if he literally was current Andy Dalton, that trade would not be viewed as bad as it is now. But the Bears got a starting right tackle, a starting outside cornerback. They didn't get Keenan Allen from the trade, but essentially Keenan Allen was maneuvered into it. And then maybe it was Torrey Taylor actually was the legitimate player. And then Caleb Williams and whatever the hell else, a second next year, this upcoming draft. That would be very good, but for adding in what's happening with Bryce Young, now it, in my opinion, is the worst trade ever as far as the Panthers are concerned.
2 things real quick. First, Illinois Jones, I agree with you 100%. If you missed me, what I said earlier, I'm big on the Bears need to take care of the offensive line, and all that does start with an offensive line. Totally agree with that. Your point. I don't think it's a bad trade, because
thank you, Samo.
I just think that the fact that Carolina chose the wrong quarterback and or didn't know how to take care of their taking quarterback, because that's what the problem really is. You didn't provide him no aid at all. You just threw him out there to the wolves. So it wasn't a bad trade. So it's not like the Bears fleeced him. Bears didn't fleece him. They didn't fleece him at all. It's just the way they mismanaged it. That's what made it a bad trade.
I'm not sure, PJ.
I don't think, because I think it would be having a different conversation. We wouldn't be saying that again if it was CJ Stroud. They would have been like, oh, well, Bears actually lost on that trade. That's what they would be saying.
Would CJ Stroud be CJ Stroud on the Panthers? I doubt it.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, but it's the Panthers' fault that they didn't give him weapons. They didn't give him protection. That's their fault on what they did with Bryce Young. So that's what I'm saying. It's what the Panthers did once they got that first overall pick. They didn't give him a position to where he can succeed at. So that's what I'm saying. If they would have taken CJ Stroud and gave him the same type of stuff that Texans gave for CJ Stroud, we wouldn't be having this conversation of that the Bears fleeced them. So when I hear people say, oh, the Bears fleeced them, I'm like, no, the Bears didn't fleece them. Carolina mismanaged it. That's what they did. They just mismanaged it.
Yeah, so officially what it was, Darnell Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Moore. So again, 3 starters for 1. That's a trade that PJ can get behind. Caleb Williams, so a 4th starter, and then the round 2 pick upcoming, who, for my money, is going to be a lineman, a starting lineman next year. Offense, defense, whatever it is. So 5 starters for 1, and you still get a franchise quarterback out of it. I think that the Bears fleeced Carolina badly. I didn't live through the was it the Herschel Walker trade?
Mm-hmm.
There's the Herschel Walker trade and the Ricky Williams trade with the Saints.
Yeah, no, Herschel Walker.
Those were the other 2 that are in contention, right? But everything
because
considered,
of what Dallas did, though. What Dallas did with the Herschel Walker trade.
Dallas turned that into the triplets, essentially, right?
No, what I'm saying is, they turned those players by releasing those players. Those players became first-round draft picks. So that was a key. It was like they got like so-and-so said player from Minnesota and all these things, but the contract read, but if they're released and don't make the team, whatever, Dallas get a first-round draft choice instead. So what Dallas do? They cut them to make sure they get the first-round draft picks.
What?
That's how it became a fleece there, because that was truly then the fleece. Whereas this, like I said, if Bryce Young was a CJ Stroud leading his team to a playoffs, we're not saying it's a fleece. To me, a fleece is no matter what, it's a fleece. And if Bryce would have been a different type quarterback, would have been a fleece. So it's not a fleece. I can't say it's a fleece.
It's hard for me to make this point because the Bears are not looking good on offense. But I do think that Caleb Williams has a lot more potential than CJ Stroud athletically. CJ seems to be a little bit more conservative, and he's doing what he did at Ohio State. CJ Stroud was surrounded with absolutely tippy-top elite talent. He still couldn't beat Michigan. But he goes to Houston.
That's a Michigan fan for you guys.
And what does he do? He has another Michigan man, Nico Collins, who looks like one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. They drafted Tank Dell, who was a home run pick later on in the draft. And then this year, of course, they surrounded him with more talent with Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. I don't know. I do think I'm strongly of the camp that C.J. Stroud elevated his roster around him. Bryce Young has absolutely not done that. But I don't know. I'm going to digress here. I do think that it was a fleece regardless, but whatever the case is.
Yeah, I just disagree with the whole fleece notion because I hear it all the time. Well, the Bears fleeced Carolina, so that's why nobody wanted to trade with the Bears this year because they fleeced Carolina. I'm like,
I have to preface, I think that it was the Panthers who fleeced themselves because the Panthers were stupid enough to have their owner publicly admit, yes, I want to trade up. Okay, now we've got you by the balls. What are you going to give us? And to my understanding, the head coach and the coaching staff wanted C.J. Stroud. They said, fuck, if we're going to go up to one, take the best quarterback. That's C.J. Stroud. Owner said, fuck off. I want Bryce Young. square peg into round hole. That's why I'm saying this is such a terrible situation, because
That's
that
why I say
trade
it's not
literally
a
got the
fleece.
head coach fired. Yeah.
That's why I say it's not a fleece, because
Now
Carolina
we're quabbling over the
mismanaged.
technicality of the word. I'm not
No, because
the best
I mean,
with
I'm
the
not just saying-
vocabulary.
because I'm not just saying you. I'm saying because of other
I understand.
players.
I understand.
Other people constantly saying Bears fleeced them. I'm like, no, they didn't. They really didn't. I mean, no. So yeah, but I mean, if you want to move from 9 to number 1, you got to pay, and that's what they did. They paid, so it's not a fleece.
Yeah, Sam, you're very, very right. There's been no wins on any side either way. So the Panthers have gotten their first win in a long time since they benched their number 1 overall draft pick. So
Yeah. I don't know. I think Bryce is the quarterback that needs actually to be sat. And follow me here. Follow me. I think he would do well sitting behind Russell Wilson, wherever that might be. Wherever that might be. Because I'm not preferencing, go to the Steelers. I'm just saying because similar size, Russell's pedigree, he can sit and learn from him and know how to play under that type of circumstance. That's what I really think he would do well in that type of environment.
I think we should wrap.
Granted, with weapons and protection and all the other stuff too.
I think we should wrap this up because I'm personally feeling like I'm rambling. I do want to say though, if Bryce Young is to be traded, I don't know what his value would be. They may consider him a sunk cost at this point. I don't know. But Bryce Young being traded to either of the Dolphins or the Rams would be very, very, very intriguing for my money. Good head coaching. Dolphins, okay situation in my opinion.
Yeah, you might be right. It'd be very intriguing.
And I'll say it again. I think that McVay is tippity top of the coaching tree. He's an exceptional coach. Give him a chance to learn behind a Super Bowl winner, Matt Stafford, and learn an offense from a very good head coach. That could be a very, very life-changing move for Bryce Young.
Top 3 for sure. I think McVay, Shanahan, and Andy Reid, top 3. Not in that order.
I saw a fun clip today regarding the Shanahan family. Is the dad Mike Shanahan? It's Kyle Shanahan is the son, the head coach, and Mike Shanahan is the dad.
Yeah.
I saw someone call him the shadow GM of the 49ers because someone sat down with Mike Shanahan, and Mike Shanahan, when they had Trey Lance going into the game against Chicago where Trey Lance was the undisputed starter, he was saying, oh my God, look out for Brock Purdy, look out for Brock Purdy. And the guy who was talking to him or interviewing him, he's like, do you have dementia? What do you care about the Mr. Irrelevant pick? And obviously he seems to be spot on because Brock Purdy is their franchise quarterback now.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got his starting career in San Francisco. And then he ended up going to the Raiders. And
all I remember Mike Shanahan from is the Broncos. Right?
Yeah,
Mike Shanahan was the head coach when they won the Super Bowl, I believe.
Yeah.
My very earliest direct memories of Mike Shanahan are with Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
The snake.
Zach Sullivan believes Bryce Young is worth Rosen. I disagree. I think
what's Josh Rosen's value? I totally forgot.
He was a number 10 overall pick, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was drafted very high, but what was Josh Rosen traded for?
He was traded to the Miami Dolphins for a late round draft pick, I believe, after 1 year. That was a kicker. It was only after 1 year.
Josh Rosen was sent to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a second round pick, 62nd overall.
Okay, second round pick.
Honestly, if the Panthers can get 62 for Bryce Young, they might feel okay with that. Because then they'll essentially have their entire draft, right? They'd recoup the second that Chicago owns. So it'd suck. But Dave Canales wasn't there when they drafted him. I think very highly of Dave Canales. So if he's the one who says we can't win and it's a week-to-week league and we need to bench Bryce Young, maybe he can find the correct quarterback for you. I wouldn't put it past that guy. I love that guy.
Who would you prefer? Bryce Young or Gardner Minshew as your quarterback?
Bryce Young. Like, so I'm sorry. Are you asking me to win the Super Bowl tomorrow?
No, I'm talking about to build your team. You're the
Definitely Bryce Young.
You're the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh,
And would you make that trade?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're the Raiders, if you want to give up a second. I don't know what their situation's looking like, but if there was a way that you could upgrade Gardner Minshew to Bryce Young, I don't know if you want Bryce Young to come in and start the day you trade for him, if that makes sense.
Right.
If you had Bryce Young, this is going to sound awkward, Bryce Young sit behind Gardner Minshew for the rest of the season, learn the offense. I don't even know who's it's Luke Getzey. Luke Getzey.
Exactly.
Exactly. I want to say Getzky because it's a meme.
Right. Now, I want to address what Sam says here, and then we can get ready to close, but I want to address this real quick. He says Arizona traded a first, a third, and a fifth-round pick in order to move up 5 spots to select Josh Rosen, number 10.
What was the first, though? Like, the Cardinals went from, like, a Bears situation where they still get the first?
Yeah. Well, they traded their first in order to move up to number 10.
So you exchange the first to select the quarterback, and you subtract the third and the fifth. I mean, for a quarterback, that's like normal. And what sucks is that they earned the first overall pick the next year, and then they just shipped him out so that they could select Kyler.
And so that's
Murray.
that's the whole thing. I have a problem with these coaches and teams. I'm like, if I'm an owner, I'm in the interview. This is how it goes. I drafted this guy and I gave up a lot of assets to get him. So if you can't work with him, let me know because I'm going to find somebody else. Because I'm tired of spinning my wheels because I bring in a new guy and it's not his guy. So he has to sit up there and build a team around his guy, and his guy doesn't work out. Then I got to fire them both and then start all over again. This is my guy. Work with him. If you can't work with him, I'll find somebody with.
Do you know what the awkward situation about the Cardinals was? I think that when they drafted Rosen, Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach, and that was his first year with Rosen. Cliff Kingsbury was either the head coach or the offensive coordinator for Kyler Murray in college at Oklahoma. So there was already rapport there, and I don't think the Cardinals would have ever envisioned them drafting Rosen and then being the first team to select in that draft. But another unique situation that just fell out the way it did.
And how did that work out?
The Cardinals got it right. Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. They sucked last year or whatever because he tore his ACL. He is a good quarterback that I think you can win with. It's just a goddamn shame that they're in the division that they are. A goddamn shame.
Yeah. On that note, that's what I'm saying. I think coaches are not held accountable to coach the players they have, and they want to change everything too often coming in. And after a team has invested so much into a player, stop throwing that down the drain. That to me is asinine. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Now, PJ, go ahead.
Invest in your players. I mean, invest in your players, build around them, but just stop throwing it away. That just irritates me.
Well, that's what happened, so I don't know if you're contradicting yourself, but the Bears decided that they're going to stick with Eberflus as the head coach. Then they let either Eberflus or the regime, GM and coaching pairing, they brought in Shane Waldron.
Mm-hmm.
Then they drafted Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot fire Shane Waldron or Matt Eberflus this year, and next year you have to let it go for a little bit. If it looks like this at this point or beyond next year, then maybe you blow it up. But I think what you're saying is you have to keep the continuity for the sake of this young player.
I've never called for Eberflus or Waldron's job. I haven't called for their job.
Good.
I
agree with you.
Because that's the whole point I'm making. It's like too many times we want to sit up there and do things the wrong way. And to me, I thought it was wrong when if before hiring Poles and Eberflus, I would have said, hey, we just drafted this kid last year. He has talent. I believe in him. Can you work with him? Can you build around him? If you can't, let me get somebody in here who can. That's my mindset, because again, if you just come in here, in the moment you get in here, you're now blowing up the team, and you're now judging him on you blowing up the team, and you're like, he only won 3 games or 2 games or whatever it was that year, and I might start looking for somebody else. Well, you didn't give him nothing to work with. I mean, again, that to me is just backwards. It's like, no, give me somebody. Can you work with this guy? Look what LaFleur did with what's the kid? The third rounder, the quarterback now for the Green Bay.
Malik
Tennessee.
Willis or Jordan Love?
Malik Willis. What did he do? Oh, well, we're going to run the ball 50. We're not going to throw the ball 52 times. We're going to run it 52 times. We're going to get a run. I mean, we're going to get a win. LaFleur is in the top quarterback, head coaches. You got to put him in that conversation as well. So
Do you know who I think is also in that conversation? Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach.
He's getting there.
And
Yes.
Brian Flores. I really, really liked Glenn Morgan's point. He said, who is Brian Flores going to be the head coach for next year? And the answer was no one, which sucks because Brian Flores deserves it. They've got some of the best coaching in the NFL, man.
Yes, I agree. And
I don't think that Kirk Cousins is a world beater, but he got Kirk Cousins a fat contract and made him look really good. A, because they got hyper lucky with Justin Jefferson, but
Yep.
B, because he's a good coach.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mike,
A great coach.
what's the guy in Miami, Mike
McDaniel.
McGann. He's a good coach as well. So
He's
I
a little
agree.
bit of a crackhead. He's a little bit of a crackpot, and you're seeing that without a decent enough quarterback, their shit is starting to come off the wheels, which is okay with me as a Devon Achane fantasy owner. Just keep feeding him. Don't throw. That's fine.
Yeah.
But, man, you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That's the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, in my opinion. You got to find a way to make that work.
Yeah, that's why they're looking for a quarterback, right? With a strong enough arm to get it to him.
Yeah,
And that's why
that-
they
that's
won't go after Bajan. His arm's not strong enough to get the ball to him.
Well, I think that they would rather just have like a West Coast system. I don't know what I'm talking about regarding them. I'm not going to pretend for you guys. I do think that one of the Steelers quarterbacks could end up on the Dolphins, though. That would be something that if I was the Dolphins, I would be interested in.
And which quarterback, I'm sorry?
Anyone, and it's probably going to be Wilson if we're being real. But
Oh, you said one of the Steelers quarterbacks.
yeah. If you're because I don't know if you know with the Dolphins, they obviously lost Tua. I don't know if Tua is going to come back this year. I hope he never plays football again for the sake of his life. But their backup quarterback, I don't know the name. He got injured. They're on their
wow.
third quarterback.
Where's Dobbs? Calling Dobbs.
Oh
Remember
my
he
God!
came-
Yeah, the Pastronaut.
Yeah.
That's another good point for Kevin O'Connell as the Vikings head coach. He made that situation work. Holy fuck!
That's what I'm saying. I really believe. Where's Garoppolo at? Is he in LA?
Jimmy G. Holy smokes! He was on the Raiders. He's not on the Raiders. He might be out of the NFL, man.
He might be.
No, he's the backup in the Rams. That's what he
that's
is.
what I'm saying. He might be
Yeah.
another. Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I could see, but I don't see. I just don't see Pittsburgh trading one of the. Well, I don't see them trading Russell Wilson, and I don't see them trading Justin Fields unless you make them an offer they really can't refuse.
Third round pick for Wilson.
Who you gonna have as your backup?
I
Talking
don't
about
know.
Pittsburgh.
I
What
don't
I'm
know.
saying- the point I'm making is
Go trade for
because-
Kenny Pickett.
because of his
Just kidding.
propensity of getting injured, just from being a running quarterback at times. I need a reliable, good backup.
Have they had design runs for Justin? I honestly don't know.
A few. I've
Okay,
seen-
so
yeah, I've
they're
seen-
still kind of, not to say that the kid can't handle it. I mean, the thing that pissed me off with Justin was the late hits. But actually, like, legitimate, clean plays, I don't think that Justin Fields was ever, like, obviously potentially getting injured on the Bears. I don't know. I'm rambling, I feel like, at this point. So if there's anything, PJ, you want to capstone this with, please
Guys, in
do.
the chat, I want to say thank you. Walt, thanks for joining us. Linda Foster, thank you. Check on your brother there. He got stung by a bee. Zach Sullivan, Atlas. Samo, appreciate you guys joining us. Eduardo, Doug Van Dorn. Zach Sullivan, Wall.
PJ, can I quickly read off the score predictions, the names of the people who I've
Yes.
documented? So obviously the starters, holy smokes, the guys on the podcast. Zach Sullivan, Doug Van Dorn, Scottish Bears, Armando Lara, J2K, Raging Oracle, Illinois Jones, Antmis, and Eduardo Isaac. I have gotten all of your score predictions for the Rams game. If you didn't hear your name and you have a prediction, feel free to throw it in chat and I'll jot it down. And
Yeah,
we'll take a look
Illinois
next week.
Jones. Yeah, Samuel, if you want to put your prediction in there, Walt, you want to put yours in
Yeah,
there?
Walt, you guys just popped in a little bit late. Yeah, if you guys have a prediction, please run it by us.
J2K, the Notch.
Yeah, Naj didn't put in. Actually, no, Naj, you said something about riding shotgun with J2K. Is your prediction, Naj, if you're still here, is it seriously still 31-3? AC Adam, I got you.
AC Adam, Raging Oracle. Guys, thank you much for joining us in the chat. Shorty had to leave early because of he's not far from a hurricane approaching him, so he has to get prepared for that. Foster got stung 5 times by some yellow jackets, so he had to go to the hospital and get dosed
He's
up with some
passed
Benadryl.
out on the Benadryl right now. He is safe at home, alive and well. Thank
But
God.
that's where he's at, so that's letting you guys know. So that's why Carl and myself is left here. But good show we had. Glynn Morgan. If you guys missed him, go back and look at him. He gave some great insight on his state of the Bears. Samuel says 17-24. I guess Bears losing.
Oh, he's saying Bears win, Samo?
No, I think he said Bears losing because he says Bears 17.
It looks like he's saying, yeah. Wait, no, I'm confused. Walt, you're almost the exact same.
No, Walt's opposite. Walt's saying that 24-17
Bears. It felt like
Right.
Walt was saying he thinks the Bears will win. Samo
Yeah,
was saying the Bears win 24-17. Okay, so you guys have the exact same.
No, I don't know. Samuel, explain that to me. Oh, you said Bears win? Okay. Well, you said that wrong there, Samuel. Bears 17?
Yeah.
You said, okay.
So
Samuel, come
Samo
on,
and
Samuel.
Walt have the exact same prediction of a 24-17 Bears victory.
Those my brothers, Walt and Samuel. AC Adam got 24-14. I don't know if you got that from AC Adam.
Yeah, I got him. He
Okay,
said
all right.
Bears win.
All right, cool.
Oh, 14. I put 20. Wait, what? Oh, that's Antmis. Yeah, I got him.
All right, cool.
Ooh, there's Charles Johnson. Thank you. So you've got 19-14 Bears win.
Minister Charles, 19-14. You got mine down, right? 2017?
Yeah, 20-17. Dan says 21-18 Rams win.
Okay.
Really? No way. No way.
What?
He said that the Bears would win, right? Am I wrong?
Who?
Shorty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bears win. Why did I write down Rams? Holy smokes. And then Foster said 24-23 Bears win.
He says
And I said
21-18 Bears, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's in the chat.
Antmis, we need a lot more of that. I haven't played this yet, and I'm very sad about that.
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
Shorty.
Shit, I lost Charles Johnson. 19-14 Bears.
Hope you're doing all right there, Shorty. Hope everything's well. Stay safe, brother. Make sure you give me a call tomorrow. Let me know you're all right.
Samo, I would love that. I would love for them to score a defensive touchdown. Get back in the bunker.
I
Zach,
ain't gonna lie
got
to you.
bad news for you. Shorty's on a ranch and a slab.
I was a big fan of Verse coming out, so I'm really curious to see how he does this week. Because I was hoping the Bears would draft him. Actually, I was hoping
He
for it.
hasn't looked like a game wrecker. I mean, he's in the perfect situation, right? Like he's playing next to Braden Fisk, his college teammate. I don't know. Me and Nick mocked Jared Verse to the Bears, but I think we had a trade down scenario.
Yeah. I was hoping for that a trade down as well. So yeah, got it.
Their
All right,
defensive line
guys.
situation doesn't look too terrible. I'm more concerned with the interior defensive line, but I'm going to digress. I don't want to keep rambling. Please.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to Shorty. He says, all good, just raining so far. I was going to come back, but got stuck watching the Sopranos with my wife.
Yeah.
So,
Shorty here too. That's so scary. A category whatever at 3 a.m. Like,
Yeah,
you
man.
can't sleep. Like you can, but you have to sleep with one eye open. Like it sucks. Sorry you have to deal with that, Shorty.
Yeah, man. Just hope everything goes well, man. Yeah, guys. Zach says he's windy here where he is. I think he's in Miami. I can't remember. But yeah, You guys out there who's got some turbulent weather, please be safe. Please be safe and be prepared. Make sure you stock up on the things you need, whatever you got coming your way. But yeah, be prepared. And if nothing else, do like I did. Make that trip to Walmart.
That was such a legend. We got to find a way to just re-upload that. We'll re-upload that later on when the Bears keep losing some games or something. That was such a legendary output.
Thank you guys for joining us. And until next week, 1, 2, 3, Bears.
Bears.